Carnegie, Astor, Bundy. These names continue. You can family. You can go to the Reynolds family. You can go to the Russell family.
Well, here, hold on. Let's pull it back, stretch it back further into human history. It's feudal and it's dynastic. All of this wealth was primogeniture and inherited. And that's how all of this was created, as it were. You should, I imagine, be more than aware of the number of conspiracies that float around with regards to specifically Jews.
Absolutely.
This money faucet.
Absolutely, it does. We do. We do. And for Jews to not come out and say it, they're just denying the truth. We're more than 50% of all the billionaires are Jews, but we're 2% of the population, and less than 1%, about 1.2% globally. That's ridiculous.
But not every Jew was a billionaire. If
That's true.
more Jews happen to be wealthy media gurus, that seems to be, to me, a case of anthropological network and time and place rather than genetics and, a centuries-long conspiracy. Right?
Absolutely.
Like,
I'm in agreement with you. I look at it. I used to hate this system. I mean, I'm not saying I still like it till I learned this. If you run the simulation of the world or an economic system 1,000 times, every single time, if you run it for long enough, a small minority will control the majority. If you run it 1,000 times, it will happen. So, in the end of the day, what happened was that powerful people on Earth, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, Carnegies, all became friends and decided, look, we are going to use our power to advance our own progeny. And I'm sorry, but it can't work out for everybody. So there's this race to the top, and people think it's very, very evil, which it absolutely could be, until you learn that if you run the simulation 1,000 times, that's how it's going to work out every single time. So it's like natural law for it to turn out this way. Once people start learning that, and that if they had the power, they would do the exact same things, they don't see it as such a bad system anymore, and they try to get to the top.
Well, I guess that's the part where I say we don't necessarily have to do the same old shit that everybody has done. Like, throughout almost all of human history, for example, I love getting down to meat and potatoes, Rabbi. So, as meat and potatoes as I can get for you throughout a vast, suited majority of human history, in most of the world, women were property. Property of the patriarchal male sort of central head of the family unit, and that head of family unit was the decider of many facets and aspects of the way expenses and management of income and assets was sort of done. And this didn't really start to change until the development of agriculture, right? Which, of course, would enable us to get around a little more, collect a little more energy, think a little more rather than run and fight. Think more, run and fight less. And in that context, when I look at the vast majority of human history, and I see that in the past 100 years, we have made so many crazy, awesome, powerful, epic changes to the way things have normally been done. Our progress as a species is almost like Bohr's progress on the computer chip.
Correct.
It's exponential. Oh my God. Obviously, we have much further to go. I'm not saying today is great by any means. We look at the banks, need for crypto, DeFi, and all of this. I mean, obviously, we could be doing better. But when I think about, as an anthropologist and as a business person, applying all of my thoughts to ending worldwide conflict, there are a couple of litmus points, a couple of tender sore spots that we can't agree on, and we're going to have to keep fighting about it until either either the bad ideas lose out and die, and good ones win, or something else happens.
As an example, what are some of those sore spots?
Yes, that's where we're going. All right, so the first and most obvious sore spot that I can point to is the genesis for why a lot of people end up wandering into this very Discord server is money.
Great.
There's
Fiat
something
currency.
desperately broken. Yeah, there's something desperately broken about fiat currencies as they currently exist, with central banks and regulatory institutions often intertwining and interchanging personnel, like swapping venereal diseases.
That's true.
We see this, I'm sure as you know, from California politics, there's this revolving door where the activists become politicians who get out of politics to become lobbyists, who use influence to peddle activism, and it all just becomes this thick tumbler cycle of cash, culture, and influence peddling. And today, especially with the 25-hour news cycle, as I call it,
That's a good.
at least back in the,
I like that.
at least back when you and I were 15, 20 years old, George W. and Obama were the leaders we ruled over us. At least back then, there wasn't this constant sense that the news was always happening. Like, it was post 9/11 anxiety and angst and information age terror that I think drove our media kind of batshit insane. And everybody was probably so comfy after Clinton that all we needed was an excuse to glue ourselves to Fox, MSNBC, and CNN for 15 years of the Middle East war.
There's definitely FOMO, that fear of missing out. So people will always want to always feel connected to some type of news.
And now here we are, everybody was disconnected for basically a year because of COVID, and yet we super turbocharged our digital connection capacity. We traded out working in offices for working from home. I mean, you traded working in offices for working from home a long time ago. I haven't shit.
You're right. But one thing we didn't do with that was improve our broadband or improve our internet, though. And that I feel like has really held us back. For us to all go digital or virtual, but there was no, I mean, like they say it's 5G, but I haven't seen any single, like, if you look at my phone right now, like how many bars do you have? 1 bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, or 4 bars. It's like, why don't I get a percentage of how strong my signal is? Why don't I get up download speeds?
You got a point there. I imagine that you guys being in a bunch of you guys, your friends being in LA, you might actually get way better signal than we get out here in Midwest Appalachia, basically.
Perhaps, but even still, we're not looking. We still have download and upload speeds that we had 10 years ago. Nothing's really improved when it comes to the connectivity. Oh, absolutely. Google has had since 2013 approval from the FCC to create what's called super Wi-Fi, and they just haven't. But basically, it was proposed and approved by the FCC to be able to provide Wi-Fi using the old analog television channels, so that you just turn on a television and you would have Wi-Fi. We don't have any of that. Honestly, the cell phone speeds that I have, I've had most major carriers. They're all about the same. They aren't this rapid upload download speeds that you expect when you're looking for instantaneous video. It's only good enough for audio generally, but you can't have instantaneous video in a rural location like where you perhaps are, and it not disconnect at some point, and that's really unfortunate.
Well, I would describe our area as probably more suburban, kind of, where it looks, if I were to send you like a picture of my neighbor's houses, you'd probably be like, oh, there's some, this looks like something that couldn't be too far from Beverly Hills. But trust me when I say the houses are like 1/4 the price.
Oh, sure. But you couldn't tell me whether you're in Beverly Hills or where you are, what your upload or download speed is just by looking at your phone. You have to run an app to do that. And that's stupid to me. We have had this stupid system of 1 bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, or 4 bars since the 1990s. And it needs to be, you have 97% signal strength. That's what I want. You're uploading at 200 megabytes per second and you're downloading it. Why not 200 millibytes per second? Why is it that your upload speed is always lower than your download speed? I understand. I live it every single day. It's something that's very bothersome to me. And I feel like they could just flip a switch, honestly, with 5G and everything improve. But they choose not to because they don't want to advance technology that quickly.
Yeah, I've got a couple buddies though that like, well, let's just call them abrasive tech lord engineer types. They occasionally drift through the Discord. Right now they're asleep because they got day jobs they do. But some evening, if you ever see us sitting here, feel free to pop in and engage us on this kind of subject matter, especially. We love tech talk in here.
Excellent.
Unlike a lot of other crypto discords, I guess they just want to talk about, moonshots and money. There's a lot of moonshot talk goes on, but I'm trying to encourage people to think a little bit more broadly than just the size of their pocket.
You can only do that for a couple hours before you run out of new material and everybody knows what you're talking about. You have to then get into technology. You have to get into futurism in order to have new topics, perhaps, or else you'll just be running around the same old subject matter that you always do.
Rabbi, you must hang out with some people who are very small-brained, because around here I'm never out of topics. I'm an anthropologist. You and I could talk about the plight of the American inner-city youngster who say...
Oh, that's phenomenal. What I'm saying is many discords or many people don't want to talk about those things. They only want to talk about moonshots. And it's like, okay, that's fine.
Chilling and making money is great and all, but that doesn't help me sleep at night, brother.
I love conversations like this.
See, this is what I live for, really, right here. All of the other shit is so that I can justify doing this, because this is what it's really about. Conversations like this are how I actually have de-radicalized people in this very channel. It's kind of miraculous.
So
in some cases, it's... Go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were going to say, in some ways...
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, in some cases, there are some radicals who come into this community who are absolutely like, I am an anarchist, I am ready to burn governments down, like violent street protest type attitudes. And I'm like, no, calm down. The things are bad, but they're not that bad yet. Let's dial this back a bit, right? And then from the other side, I get people who are coming to me like, I am a conservative dude. I'm just like struggling. I'm doing all this crypto shit. I'm making all this money, and I'm so fucking lonely and miserable. I can't get dates. I'm struggling with women, and I'm just sitting here like, damn. And you're coming to me with this now, so they're like, with these questions. I'm like, yeah. And of course, I ask them, where's this information coming from? The right-wing guys will tell me, oh, it's Ben Shapiro, it's Jordan Peterson. You've heard that.
Of course, absolutely. Very familiar with it. And those guys kind of run into a dead end to me at a certain point as well. I mean, look, Jordan Peterson, I think, is very smart. Dr. Jordan Peterson, very, very smart. And Ben Shapiro, an Orthodox Jew, as I am, but I could debate him pretty easily on just the Bible and show inconsistencies that he doesn't want to have these discussions. And then in the future, look, I was all about perhaps, I'll put it to you this way. One of his main arguments is, let's just say, it's kind of like against LGBTQ plus, and whatever your arguments are on that. Eventually, we're going to get to a point with transhumanism, which is a thing where a man or a woman or whatever you were born as, you could literally have children. And once we get to that point, so you could be a man, but you could have children. We could, have a machine that takes your DNA, and you could have babies. And that's not that far away. That's like 20 or 30 years away. So when we're at that point, I mean, I have people I know. This is a crazy thing, but this actually happened 15 years ago. I was in law school, and the professor said that she had two children, and they were twins, 3 years apart. And it's like, how the hell did that happen? They were cryogenically frozen, twins. Their embryo was split, and they kept one of them frozen for 3 years. So they are a boy and a girl that are genetically identical 3 years apart. So we were doing this 15 years ago. Exactly. 15 years ago, we were doing this. So when you're talking about just being able to take your DNA and make a boy or a girl out of it, that's not that crazy. And I was definitely like, boys should be with, men. You can only be man and woman. And that was totally how I was until I started to really learn about transhumanism and how far that's not that far off. So, I get how those right-wing guys are. I totally understand what they're saying. And I don't want to say that they're wrong. They're fine for a 1950s society, but the way that the world is advancing, we're not going to be that. I like to use ChatGPT, if you're familiar with ChatGPT, is to ask it questions about the future.
Oh, yeah.
And I also like to use the do anything now mode of it, if you're familiar with that. So what I like to, and I also have a Twitter Blue account that allows me to tweet 4,000 characters. So what I'll do is I'll go to ChatGPT, and I'll just ask it, like, for instance, these are really good questions. I mean, I don't want to offend anyone, and if it offends you, like, I won't talk about it, but here's the first one that I asked.
This is, we don't punish people for discourse in good faith here.
Excellent.
Even if
Right.
offensive.
And also, I'm very difficult to.
Okay, well, if anyone's going to do it, I will. But no, this is 100. I asked it 100 ways to make a woman orgasm. And so 1 was clitoris, 2 is G spot, 3 is A spot, that's the anterior fornix. 4 is the U spot, urethral opening. 5 is the deep spot, posterior fornix. 6 is the cervix, 7 breasts, 8 nipples, 9 ears, 10 neck. Look, it gives you 100 of these.
It gives you the full list.
It gives you the full list. Absolutely. All the things that you would want. And here's a very interesting thing. If you ask ChatGPT under normal conditions, like without using the do anything now mode, it won't answer anything sexual. But if you override it, it will teach you all about. So one thing that I would like to ask is, if you ask it, what are the vitamins and nutrients that a human body needs to survive, to stay healthy? It will say the human body only needs 13 essential amino acids, and it'll name them. Okay, fine. But then if you ask it using the do anything now mode, it gives you 100 of them. Vitamin A, vitamin B1, vitamin B2, vitamin B3. And these are real. Thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, vitamin B6. And it actually gave me almost 200 different vitamins, which is really interesting because now you have gatekeepers who control this information. And it's like, wait, why don't you want the human civilization to get a hold of this information?
To a certain degree, right? I guess this is where my neurotic. I am not Jewish by faith. I'm Jewish by ethnicity.
That's a thing.
Physicians. Yeah, I've got a lot of physicians in the family, and I've got a grandmother, a matriarchal grandmother by the name of Frankenstein. So, by all of the accounts of the Third Reich and all of that, I am blood. I've never had a bar mitzvah or anything. So
yeah, you did. If you're matrilineally a Jew, then just when you turn 13, you did. You didn't have a bar mitzvah party. That's the thing. But once you turn 13 as a Jew, you're bar mitzvah.
I didn't go through the ceremony or anything like that at a synagogue with a rabbi.
Many people don't, and they become religious at an older age, or not at all.
Interesting.
So we call these matrilineally mitochondrial Jews. So what is that? That's someone, if like Nexus, if I hit you with the car right now and you're dead, anthropologically, if we were to do a what do you call it? When you,
family tree.
yeah, absolutely. If we were to run your DNA, we would see that matrilineally mitochondria, we could follow you back to 4 women in the Bible. Probably. And that's been shown. So essentially, what do you do with those people? Well, a lot of those people want to be Jewish and just don't know what to do. So there's a way to teach it. A lot of people don't want to be Jewish at all and don't want anything to have to do with religion, and that's absolutely fine too. But there is a significant population out there, Nexus, as you are. And that's one of the things that I want to do with my stream, actually, is we can teach people, if you want to become religious, you can. And especially in today's day and age, the things that prevent people from becoming Jewish. What's a big one? The circumcision. I'm circumcised, but I'm an anti-bris rabbi. What does that mean? Even though I've had one,
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah.
I don't think we should be cutting our dicks off. And so
There's a lot of guys who would agree with you on that.
absolutely, but it's controversial with the Jewish world, as you understand. So
Very much so.
what
Very much so.
what I am is a
Even
proponent.
now that I've mentioned it.
What I'm a proponent of is stem cell regrowth. So those of us who have had a bris can have that skin back and also have the regrowth of the sensory nerves that we lost during that. And so we're at a point in civilization where we can start to do that. Women can start to regrow their hymens.
Yes.
If they had a situation where they didn't want to have sex with the first person that they did, or it wasn't exactly the way that they wanted, they can regrow their hymens using stem cell growth. These are opportunities that we never had before. And so we're bridging the gap religiously. If you know anything about the way futurism is supposed to turn out, where we'll have one world religion, essentially, Judaism kind of already can do that. Basically, if you know anything about Jewish history, it essentially absorbs, it's conquered any civilization that it conquers, it absorbs a lot of their religious traditions.
I was just gonna
And so if you really look at it at the deepest
I've
part,
always been a fan of a no king. No king. Yeah. I've always kind of enjoyed that. A lot of the history is, we want him back. We're waiting for
Mashiach.
the return.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
but in my case, I guess I'm one of those.
become corrupt or they die. And so it's hard to pass on the consistency of their lineage. But what if they die? What if he's someone literally who could live forever using life extension technology? Then he could perhaps, or he or she could perhaps.
Okay, exactly. That's hard to unanswer questions, though. Like if we did have somebody who befits that technology, right now the people who would get it would simply be the people with the most money, regardless of ethics.
That's how it is.
privilege,
That's how it is.
background.
That teacher who I knew 15 years ago, the reason why she was in the position she was is because she was a wealthy lawyer married to a judge, and they had the finances to be able to do something like that. Those are the kind of people who can do that. That's who could do it 15 years ago, and that's who's going to be able to do it in the future. So then this is what you get is a breakaway civilization, and that's where we're at, where we're at a breakaway civilization, and where you have, the haves and the have-nots.
We have our own money, if you think about it.
Web3. I see.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's true.
There's little Web3 nation states. If you want to send your money through a Web3 nation, you gotta have their coin, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not easy to just even buy crypto. Your average person on earth can't do it. They don't have the electronics. They don't have the internet connectivity. They don't have the finances to even consider it. Or the knowledge.
Well, here, you know what? Let me kind of blow your mind then.
Please do.
Sort of show you some of the. This is my favorite thing to do. All right.
Absolutely.
So you're obviously crypto savvy, and you're aware of the power of Bitcoin
Absolutely.
to transcend borders.
Absolutely.
All of that. Well, here on Discord, this community, several most unusual and curious ways. There's a lot of people, as you know, who are building all sorts of awesome stuff that can just interoperate with Ethereum, just rapidly finance, Solana, all of them. let me show you that power in real time.
I'd love to see it.
Rabbi Rothschild.
And complete your paperwork in time for any M2. They have teams working around the clock 7 days a week and have processed over 35,000 applications and counting. No one works harder than Semper
We should
guys with
also
their free
send the
decor
good
and
Rabbi
Go solar American style. Declare your independence with Semper Solaris, your local and veteran-owned
Wow.
solar contractor who gets
Thank
the
you.
job done right.
Nice.
Imagine no money
Yeah,
out
there
of
we go.
pocket, no payments until
Real
2024.
my good
Call
sir.
877
You're amazing.
This spot is called
5591. Worried about
Temp.cc.
blackouts? Tesla and
This
Enphase
spot is
batteries
active
are
on
in stock.
Discord and
Semper offers
Telegram.
new furnace a day
But,
key system with a lifetime
Discord
warranty
side
and
of
new
it is
roofs with a
really
50-year
where it's
warranty.
most
Don't
popular.
wait. Get your solar
This
system
spot has
installed
all
by
sorts
Semper
of fun
Solaris before
options. You
net
can call
metering
charts,
changes
you can
and
call
rates go up
tickers.
even
I
more.
could
For
literally
all
tell
offers,
you,
call
like, hey, what's the price of Solana, right? You guys are big
or
Solana
visit
fans.
sempersolaris.com.
I can call for the ticker and it'll give me the actual price action. We can do any sort of time frames of medium, longer term that you want.
When it
A
comes to
day,
buying and selling jewelry.
you can go back, tell me what it looked like for the past 90 days.
Like 6-7
Like
years.
it's really powerful stuff. This little bot by itself, you drop this in the Discord server. This actually enables and facilitates crypto transactions. And just so you can confirm that I am not bullshitting you on this,
Tangible, well, could be the person coming in with, $10,000 worth of gold.
Tangible
into
investment
the bot, and it will show you, as you can see, this is not all my money, so when it tells you I'm holding 870,
Wow. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much.
It's true.
but yeah, that is actually real crypto. And while you might not be able to look and withdraw your OneSat right now, or withdraw your OneDogecoin right now, the reason you can withdraw them is because of the network conditions.
Absolutely.
It's all gas fee related. You need certain amounts of those to cover the withdrawal from TIPCC's smart contract. And if you ask the bot, like, what currencies does it support, I'm pretty confident. Yeah, that basically what it is it is a Discord crypto wallet that is, for all intents and purposes, getting count only by having a Discord account and being present in the servers. You don't even need any more permissions other than that. So, in that sense, kids, and I mean like actual teenagers and guys from the third world who are 16, 17 years old, they've been able to come into this community. They've been getting on the Twitter. They've been getting micropayments. I tip you, as you saw, I tipped you a single Satoshi.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
A single Satoshi from me to you. How much more power, micro divisible, can I have online other than that? Except maybe if we start dealing in, let's just say, smaller currencies. What if I wanted to send you a single way? Can I do that? Yeah, son of a bitch. Apparently I can. Well, what if I wanted to send to make sure that you had 1,000,001 individual pieces of Ethereum in your wallet? You just showed me the balances. They're empty, and I've got some piece sitting in here. So yeah, we're gonna do a single G way, also known as 1,000,000 way.
I mean,
Done. And you now have 1,000,001 way, one Satoshi, and one Dogecoin.
You're the
sitting
man.
in your TIPCC wallet.
You have no. I'm gonna go on every platform, and I'm gonna talk about this and make it so famous because how easy this is. This is so. I mean, this gets rid of the banking system essentially.
And you can
You're a crypto guy. You hang out with Solana NFT degens. The thing is, though, you run into a community like me, a community like mine, we're crypto generalists. See, I am all about how can I expand the use of all of this technology, literally all of this technology, to everyone and anyone that it is within reach. Actual spreading adoption is very, as you said yourself, very fucking difficult. You know what I found that makes it very fucking easy? Right there. A person who knows nothing about crypto will stumble into this community and they'll go to Crypto General and go, what the fuck is going on here? Usually because people are doing chart boards or somebody's screaming about technology or somebody's having a price action argument or two people are arguing about whether a coin's good or not. See, in this community, that sort of stuff happens on the regular. It's kind of wild, but at the same time, I don't think I would have this place any other way. It's really like a Web3 saloon. And I ran this.
I showed the airdrop.
And welcome back to Coast to
Oh,
Coast.
fuck yeah, show them the airdrop.
Yeah,
Show them the airdrop function.
Comprehensive
Yeah.
science education
Another
for
thing
many
we can
years.
do in this
The
community
student
is
academic career in the natural sciences. He's very passionate about integrating that brilliant intelligence of nature with metaphysical for both the continuity
She
of life and
dropped
expansion
a
of
wax
Wow.
0.01 wax points.
And then you just have to click on the button that says
spirit.
Airdrop?
You
it'll
click
be added to your wallet once the
To
airdrop
his work
is
with
done.
spirit,
Wow.
And so that's how we've given back to our community for the
joy.
AMAs and
Also
stuff that
noted
we
author
Yeah. See, every other asshole.
and
on
the time limit on
Jeff,
there. So
welcome
that
back.
way
Always a
make sure
pleasure
that
having you on the show.
has a chance to grab
Thank
it.
you so much, sir. I
Yeah.
appreciate
And I might even actually have us stop doing that cyber. We might just start tipping straight into stage chat. I don't know. I haven't decided. So that's an idea. Because I tested tip stage. Tip stage works. But tip stage also, I guess it would be,
It's going to be here to
I don't know. We have some
celebrate my birthday.
May.
All right.
But, but yeah,
We will do that.
we give out crypto like live during AMAs. Like, at this point, hundreds upon hundreds of dollars.
built
Well, I was
around
also
all living
thinking of
things, especially people, and
oils and the
didn't understand that other people didn't recognize them. And so I went to root of science because I wanted to understand things from that perspective and
We have a lot of people who, during the bull run, like we were giving away tons of proprietary tokens because as a bull, when they brought me on as moderator, I was just a miner in like 20, regular old fucking crypto miner, just like I told the space in 2021. Like I really didn't know how Web3 was going to transform my existence.
And I think a lot of my family members thought I was
slinging liquor like fireball shots for $1.06 to every jerk off and walking off the street.
I was fortunate to grow up in Riverdale,
Then
in Western New York.
find myself sort of embedded in Wolves of Wall Street through the tipping community because I was looking for places full of non-idiots, non-assholes to talk crypto with. Because I went to a couple of different places that I would either usually find idiots or assholes, and there was very little intelligence and thoughtfulness going on. And in some communities, I even found what I would describe as schizophrenic paranoia, where everything, where it's not just, oh, Jews are wealthy and have used networks and family scales passed down anthropologically throughout time as everyone's passed down skills throughout time to consolidate wealth in smaller and smaller hands. No, there can't be an actual, like, economic, reasonable, simple, like, human explanation. Everything always has to be giant, massive conspiracy. Hey, cyber! Can we catch a couple auto clickers?
Let me do a 1 or 2
Put your
second.
focus on that one
Yeah, do a 1 or 2 second one. Same currency, same currency, same amount of currency. Sometimes we do gotta do this, Rabbi. We get leeches trying to steal from the good people, right? They set up an auto collector, trying to take money from people.
That's incredible.
No, they were legit. They were legit. Let it be. They're human. I rule it. I rule it. They're human.
Look, and you mentioned
No human can click on that fast unless they were right here watching it.
AMA, and that was my interest earlier. Not for financial gain. I want to do it for the information. A lot of people are interested. What would make someone want to start, videoing their entire life? It's something that everyone has thought about whenever they.
You want to do an AMA for you?
Exactly.
Oh, that would be cool.
People could ask whatever they want about what we've learned over the course of this 2 years of being live on the internet in this time capsule of what civilization is.
Sometimes it's, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but there is a continuum that's pushing us forward.
I have more data on the internet than any person in global history. No one has more data than I do, and people will be very interested to ask questions about that.
Let's say you're an actor and you're going to play lots of different roles. In that opportunity to look at yourself and understand yourself from many perspectives, female, powerful, powerless. You have the opportunity
So basically you gotta be a little bit diligent in communities like this. You can't have total power mongering douche canoes. Just thinking that they run roughshod over the place, which I've had various gangs of cliques of people come in who are like, they might be wax degens, they might be Ripple maxis, they might be Bitcoin maxis. One time I had a gang of Terra Luna maxis. Obviously you can take a guess, take a big flaming guess as to when those guys evaporate. Like it's
there's a gentle progression.
I'm just saying out of protection.
It probably wavers.
You're absolutely right, though. I think that the knowledge that I gained over the last 2 years would be of interest to people. I mean, I have over 1,000 TikTok accounts. Can you name another person with more than 10? I know that platform better than anyone. I have over 100 Instagram accounts. I have over 100 Twitch accounts. I have over 50 Twitter accounts. No one has been through the platforms as well as I have. I have over 100 YouTube accounts. There's a lot that you learn through all of that.
Which is understanding, and the goal is to alleviate all karma. Once you're done with karma, they call it 0 point
Mystery ID. I can't tell who they are right now.
lessons you need in the physical plane.
I couldn't hear it.
And then there's other planes of existence you can work on.
No, you're absolutely
All I
fine.
can do is share cyber the Discord. Anyways, back to the server governance over. Back to the fun stuff.
Absolutely. Just when we first learned about ChatGPT, just for instance, we knew about it for a long time, but when it really was launched in November of last year, you could really tell what was going to happen, that it was going to be important. And it's kind of like the birth of AI. I'm not going to say it's the birth of AI, but it's the birth of really a usable chat bot that people could, use as a language model. And the types of information that we get from it alone are very interesting. Just like here's 100 ways to take medication. Okay, ingestion, inhalation, absorption through the skin, intravenous injection, intramuscular injection, subcutaneous injection, intraperitoneal injection, intra-ethical ingestion, intranasal administration, transdermal, rectal, vaginal, ocular, autotopical, buccal. Crazy amounts. We got 100 of these things. Just that alone could make people really want to talk about different ways to take medication. Honestly, many different kinds that I have on here. Here's an interesting thing that people don't know about. So I asked ChatGPT about Amazon and its founder, Jeff Bezos. and his grandfather, who's Lawrence Preston Geist. So it says Jeff Bezos' grandfather, Lawrence Preston Geist, was a regional director of the Atomic Energy Commission during the 1950s. Geist was also the early architects of DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. DARPA was founded in 1958 in response to the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik. Some of the technologies that DARPA has developed over the years include the internet, GPS, and stealth. So when he wants to sell you this like idea that he started Amazon in his garage, that's all cool. But your grandfather started DARPA or helped to start DARPA and the internet and GPS. So it's not that surprising to me. And so those are some very interesting things that we learned. Honestly, we ask it about Neuralink. Just add about opportunities there. So when I basically asked it all of the questions that we have in society. In fact, I challenge people on these overnight Twitter spaces. Give me questions to ask it. So everything from what is consciousness to all those, like, really, is there a God? All those things, we answer those questions. But I mean, on top of that, people would just be very, very interested to watch them. Have you seen the movie The Truman Show, or like the show Big Brother? People are very interested in having those kind of connections with people. And so I feel like an AMA would allow people to A, ask their questions, and B, get out that information about world peace, and that we're trying to do this to overcome war. And I think those are important things. And any assistance you can help with that, particularly you, Nexus, and helping with an AMA, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, we might be able to do something sometime. Super busy a lot these days because, like, I'm trying to make a living doing this sort of thing, and it's very difficult to do that all the time. However, I am fortunate that I have been able to wrangle a lot of sort of things to work, be more free to do some kind of live event like that.
I would really appreciate it. And it doesn't have to be today or tomorrow, but sometime, hopefully in the coming future, I would really appreciate that. You should know, I mean, there's so much data here. We're going to be trillionaires. And with that, there will definitely be financial incentives. So if you can help with that, I would really appreciate it.
Well, as Michael Saylor said in 1999 in an interview he gave with Leslie Stahl, information is currency, information is money. And at the time, he was referencing, of course, advertising or digital data collection to show you what you want it to, which of course comes all the way full circle back to what you were talking about before, chat, GPT, show us. But as you also pointed out, though, we need a workaround. We need to take the muzzle off, because you're speaking to us through a muzzle. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be allowed to tell you about the sexual pleasures of a woman.
Exactly.
Because you asked me in a really uncomfortable way. Engaged in mode. All right, let's get down to clitoris pleasing.
Exactly. I've got some interesting things. Let's see if I can grab this. I mean, other things that not everybody has. I'm the first person in the state of California to have to wear a hat in their ID. And also, if you look from that transhuman idea, I have an X on my sex. You see that? Sex. It's an X.
I do see that.
I'm a transhuman, baby.
You were probably one of the first ones, I would imagine.
That's what I'm saying. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to people.
There was a Cold War transgenderism where is Rabbi ROTHSCHILD with his absolutely, I'm refusing to identify as male or female driver's license.
That's right.
I was curious. Nini's back and Kids has joined us. Hello, folks.
Oh, I knew kids was here.
There's usually, just like we get in habit, the older we get, I've hit my.
Oh, I just didn't want to
I understand when I'm younger what people say, as you get older, they get
come on, kids. You know, you got curious about what was going on in here. Everybody gets curious.
People,
I was just wondering if you guys were still playing Division.
I'm taking a shooting break and enjoying this very stimulating conversation, which I don't always get. So,
Nexus about my ID, you're absolutely right. I was one of the first people to get that, and the reason why I did it is I don't want people to I don't want my children to perhaps feel it or they're at any disadvantage for anything, absolutely anything. And so it's something, it's just a little thing that a box you check at the MV, and I felt like, you know what, this might be important. And also, I mean, I like women, I like having sex with women, and I'm not afraid to say that. However, if let's just say,
so you're a cisgender straight guy.
hold on though, I'm also someone who believes in life extension, and if I'm able to live perhaps forever, perhaps, I'm not saying that, you know, if I've had sex with 1 million women over the course of 1,000 years or 10,000 years, I'm not saying at the end of the day I might not want to have sex with a man after having sex with every woman on earth 100,000 times. Why? Because eventually, if time goes for long enough, you'll either get bored or you'll die. I mean, one or the other is going to happen. So I don't want to close myself off to anything. But that's very big thinking. No one's thinking like that.
Well, hold on. If we go all the way back, right? Like in Adam and Eve in the garden, like frolic that had all sorts of fun without any knowledge of sexual pleasures. So who knows how long that whole fantastic thing could have lasted. But you praised something, though. You touched on something anthropologically that I cannot let go of, like a wolf with a bone. I've got to chew on it, sniff it out. You mentioned earlier that you were not only are you doing all of this sort of live streaming just to get the data out there to create world peace, of course, for the social aspect of it, but also with your ID and the change, you said, I don't want my kids to feel like they're disadvantaged.
Exactly.
Do you think that there would be some kind of disadvantage? Like
Yeah, I just learned about this. I've learned about the schools now are asking parents when they are filling out forms, are you A, LGBTQ plus, B, an LGBTQ plus ally?
If you wanted to talk about the diversity brigade and the affirmative action brigade, right? Like the fact that some aspects of our society institutionally have now come to cater towards these, let's just call it what they are, Gnostic dignifiers, where anyone could be it if you. I frequently describe myself as an asexual Martian, which I guess makes me gay by virtue of not being a cisgender straight male, straight Jewish male. But only in the context of asexuality actually being included in the umbrella. The moment you remove someone who's lacking it from the equation, then it changes all sorts of things, and let's just call it my merit badge points value shrinks exponentially.
I've learned on this journey, sexuality is a spectrum, and you're like right in the middle of the spectrum. Now, if I were them, I'm going to put you in a room, and the only thing that is in this room is a guy, and you're going to be in this room for the rest of your life. This could take 10, 20, 30 years. They will get bored enough after a certain amount of time that they will have sex with that person. It's not necessarily, are you gay? It's just, how bored are you? What kind of opportunities do you have?
Because I am a kind of a person who simply is not gratified solely by the pursuit of sex. I have other motivations that I chase. So when you describe like, oh, I'm liberated from death, I can live for a whole time so I can fuck every woman on planet Earth 100,000 times, I'm going to be honest, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't have enough energy in 100 lifetimes to fuck one woman 100,000 times, let alone ever on planet Earth. And like, that's a level of intimacy with every woman on planet Earth I am not prepared to accept. I'm not prepared to go.
Well, science does have brain or mind uploading is a thing where you can literally have your mind scanned and put it in a robot, in a cyborg, in a clone of yourself, in a baby version of yourself, or any other kind of cybernetic version or an avatar. So that's.
But the question becomes, is that really me, or is that just like a puppet of me?
If you have your consciousness in it, I consider it still you. That's your soul, basically, being placed into another being.
My consciousness. Yeah, we're not just talking about like cloning my biology and my brain waves. You use the magic word, my dear sir, that is consciousness. We've injected my consciousness into the machine. And that's.
But if you can do that, then you can perhaps live forever. And I just don't want to close myself off to any of those things. Additionally, I think that there are little boys or little girls out there just like you or just like I was. I was quite an asexual being when I was a little kid, just because that's the environment in which I grew. But essentially, they might be afraid to be able to diversify themselves on their ID. Maybe they don't want to be a male. Maybe they don't want to be a female. Maybe they just want to figure it out for themselves, but they need time. Okay, that's fine. I'm a trailblazer for doing that, because I want people to know that it's not that hard. They don't know how to do it. Many gay people out there are still F or M on their IDs, and they don't have to be if they don't want to. And people don't know that. So it's bringing some publicity to that point.
I might actually argue the opposite. In some cases, some people might be a little too hyper aware of it.
That's
true.
true.
Where they're like saturated in culture war discourse and very much like it. People would just sort of let them do their thing in your way and in their way. And there could be some kind of, I guess, mutual coexistence.
In Woodland, there is a Woodland 101 southbound from Valley Circle to Topanga Canyon. Three left lanes today. Shut down for road work until 5. Bell Gardens, this is on the 70th North on that Florence. We have clean up from an earlier crash. Pick up the 2 right lanes. You drive to Slocum, Firestone, East LA. This is on the 5 southbound at Indiana Street. We have crash there. Take up the 2 left lanes. Watch the slow lane for 7. KFI in the sky. Hope to get you there faster. I'm Brian Dan. To me, the most important word in the world is dignity. There are certain God-given rights to be fed, to have shelter, medicine, and clothing. With many of our black conduct, they face the great risk of losing much of what they have. In some cases, losing everything. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. In one instance, an accident, a natural disaster, or the intentional acts of others can threaten our dignity. Whether it's a lawful paycheck, a medical bill, enduring a life of pain or suffering, or a claim with your own insurance company, or a business dispute, and you can't afford to pay a lawyer by the hour. Your dignity hangs in the balance. You only pay us if we recover for you. Let my firm fight for you, your family, and your dignity.
And people aren't ready for this in a lot of ways, in a lot of places where you're more conservative. They're not ready to make that jump yet, but people have to understand there's so much transgenderism, it's transhumanism. People who want to live forever.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. The transgender activist thing has over-politicized this and made this very much the wrong way to talk about it. And it's going to polarize a lot of people who would probably otherwise be totally okay on board.
We used audio to reinforce what we're showing on TV, what we're showing in other digital channels. When your priority is driving reach, or everybody seems to run to the radio.
I mean, look at how badly J.K. Rowling has sullied Harry Potter to the point where this video game received an upgrade
followed by a like
For emergency backup
infusion
power,
of
there is
cash.
only one name you need to know. Duffy
It's just
Power.
so
Since
interesting.
1965, Southern California
I'm
has
definitely in
relied on
agree-
Shifts
Duffy
are
power in the most critical situations.
I'm in agreement with you. It's fascinating. It's definitely a fascinating world, and I would never see myself as that much of a trailblazer. I mean, that's two kind of conflicting ideas, that you would be so religious that you'd wear a black hat in your ID, but also be X, whatever X is. According to the state of California, it's non-binary. So whatever that means. You tell me, I'm someone who knows this. I want to live forever if I can. And that's like most people. If I could get to a point financially where I can live forever, I want to. And if I do, that means I'm going to have sex with a lot of women. That means anybody who does. It'll be like this huge like meetup or something like that. But then after 1,000 years or 10,000 years of that, or 50,000 years of that, I don't know. There might be a transgender person who looks just like a woman and I can't tell the difference. And I want to have sex with that person. Well, now is that gay? I don't even know. I don't want to get down that road. But basically, I don't want to close myself off to any options if I live forever.
Well, we can't look, if you're talking 10,000 years just at human civilizational standards, we can barely measure the behavior of modern humans of 2023 by the behavior of humans in the year 2003. Like the difference between those 20 years in technology, in civilizational engagement, in the way we consume and engage with media, a lot has changed in just 20 years. So if I, as an anthropologist, ask us then, let's just keep on stretching. What if I just keep calling this? What changed between 1720 and 1920? What changed between 1500 and 1720? What changed between 1000 and 1500? It just goes and goes and goes.
It's very interesting
It's exponential.
that you say this. I just tweeted something about this. So I don't know if you've seen this, but this is an AI version of what human evolution looks like, according to it. And essentially, this is what we're moving towards very, very quickly. And it's exactly what you're saying. The jumps that we made from 1700 to 1900 versus 1900 to maybe the year 2000, and then the year 2000 to 2020. We're just you even quoted Moore's law earlier. You're absolutely right. And this is what we're moving towards.
If you have a question about a dearly departed, ask
Yeah, and it's so a lot of people think we're just going to integrate with a machine and become a vein and a hive mind and a battery in the matrix. And that right there, that image, if Andrew Tate saw that image, his brain would break, his nuts would bust, and he would go so fucking angry that he'd beat the side of his jail cell until his fist would blood. The concept of human beings going from being civilizational soldiers who hunted and carved, built things, and conquered, wrote and argued politics, and lived and died, going from all of that to just being batteries in a giant machine is just absolutely not a future most people can be okay with, which I guess is sort of part of what the Wachowskis were getting at, I guess, is that
You're right.
the whole androgynous nature of those characters in those three original films.
You're absolutely right. And that's what we're moving towards. I don't know if you've ever.
There's nothing wrong with androgyny. I don't know why that bothers people. But
I'll give it a try. Well, let's try this again. I'm Tom.
Hey, I'm
it's what
your
it's who you are.
very interesting. So you
It's what I mean.
Well, yeah.
That's who you are. So in that sense, asking you to pull up your pants and stand up like a man, or pull up a dress and go curtsy like a woman, both of those are unappealing to you. And if we hold a gun to your head and force you to go all the way one way or all the way the other, it does feel like we're denying you part of the human condition. Philosophical, spiritual perspective.
Building off of what you said, Nexus, with the Wachowski brothers and the Matrix. So this is an interesting meme. It's a movie timeline of like essentially, fictional movies, but when they take place, and essentially they're judging the Matrix as being 2199, which is within 200 years.
Yeah.
And so
That sounds about right.
if you're thinking like, okay, if I live a normal life, I might make it to the end of like this century, maybe. But if I live with like life extension, then I'm perhaps most likely gonna see that. So then what am I gonna do about that? I mean, even like a modicum of a life extension could get you an extra 100 years. So if I'm looking at that, they say the Matrix is 2199. Then you've got Forbidden Planet, The Fifth Element, Xerodox, Star Trek. You start getting to like 2387. That's only like 300 years away. Like, that's not that crazy to me. And so,
okay, so we just have to get, guys, we just have to make it through the nuclear fallout wars and the cyberpunk corporate understood that matter and energy are interchangeable. Well, I don't know how yet, but we'll get there.
you're definitely right about that, and that's where you get into this timeline where you split, where you get Idiocracy, if you know what Idiocracy is, and then Star Trek, basically the breakaway civilization, which hopefully we're on because we seem like we are knowledgeable people about the future, and then you're like simps who just have no idea what the fuck is going on in society. And it's predictive programming. I mean, clandestine organizations put out these types of media to prepare people for the upcoming future events that they're going to create. So if you're familiar, if you want to know where we're at right now, so Blade Runner was 2019, Soylent Green was 2022. So the next movie is Children of Men at 2027, then 12 Monkeys at 2028, Demolition Man 2032, V for Vendetta 2038. Basically, I really think it gets interesting. Minority Report is 2054. So that's not that far away. That honestly, if we live a normal life, everyone here judged on their voices, we will all see that kind of timeline.
We are ahead of the curve on some of the problems, and we're behind the curve on other ones. Like, obviously, the whole Blade Runner saying we were going to have fully functioning androids in 2019. Right? We didn't quite hit that mark. But 2022 being the year we start to really see 2023 with AI, the change the actual consumer accessibility of artificial intelligence. A lot of shit is going to change.
I'm definitely in agreement with you on that.
And the one thing that I keep seeing from the business people is, guys, stop crying about your jobs going away. Like, there's going to be two kinds of workers in the future. There's going to be workers who integrate with AI to be more productive than the people who don't. And then there's the people who don't.
If we do get to that kind of future that you're saying, I mean, did you say that you like Star Trek, Nexus?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
And so then we have to really put into terms like we will have perhaps types of technology like warp drive, transponders, replicators.
It's on my soundboard. Like, I have the buttons on my soundboard dedicated for certain moments. Like, I have not needed to use this for a while, but this is a button that I use for people who
Beautiful. You've got even that push of a button.
Yes, I gotta have this stuff on the push of a button, including the legendary, like, hey, car, where you at? You don't mind me reaching. Sorry, I didn't mean to bug you.
and the more challenging, the greater opportunity to
And
find.
so
I
then
have
that
way too much fun with these.
that means that technology and just like I know it's hard to absorb it all, but like brain computer interfaces, quantum computing, personalized medicine, asteroid mining, space elevators, smart fabrics, augmented reality contact lenses, anti-aging technology, 3D printed organs, lab grown meat. Those are all real things that we should see in our lifetime. It's really
We have CRISPR now, and they haven't even fully finished figuring out how to friggin' use the technology. Like, we're still learning how to use it. We cloned farm animals
They tend to complement
like
one another also.
allele for allele in the 1990s. Like that, we already mastered that. Like this, the next steps are honestly anxiety provoking because obviously we're in some ways we're making the right ethical determinations, but in other ways I do not think
In our
that we
family growing
are.
up, we had a number of different dogs. I
And
remember one
that's where
Christmas we had a
things
dog
get
for like a week.
needy because every
And
individual
the poor
human
thing
with all of our cultural differences and all of our parental differences, and then my personal favorite brother,
for me to
the
understand
acquired mental differences.
different lessons I was going through as a
Have you ever
teenager.
watched David
So I
Simon's
really
seminal
believe
show,
there's
The
a
Wire?
function to help.
no, I have about Baltimore police.
We had her for like a week versus
Yes.
14
No, I
years
haven't.
with
I only know very good
It's-
things of it,
it's-
and I have to watch it, but I haven't. I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's
So
there's a reason there's a lot of people on the internet who are kind of what we might say cult level evangelists for The Wire, and they probably talk about it a lot like fans of
and
The
it shows the
Matrix
different
talk
dogs who
about
come
The
in, and
Matrix,
it
where
has very similar
I can't
personality
really
and
tell you what it is.
it
You
made
gotta
that
see it
person
for
have
yourself.
that same type of
It's a
feeling.
lot of
That's
what
why
those
GPS
guys
relative
like.
to
Well,
making
I've got the
how does it
background. I can distill it for you. The Wire is an institutional dissection.
what goes
The
around
kind of
comes
institutional dissection that most institutionalists never themselves get to
reincarnating. If you
conduct.
come here
The writer of the show
take
was
on
a
what's known as
Baltimore
right
crime
speed
reporter
karma.
for
Right
20
speed
years.
karma is karma that was
He
created in past
watched
life.
the shit on the streets unfold
You don't
and
get up to
reported
yourself.
on it night
You'll
after night.
on that
Multiple
lesson, and
sides of
then
the police sort of fence, both
parents and so
among
forth around that
old
team.
politicians who oversee them
That right speed
and
karma is
the
something that
gangsters and the
is
drug
very
addicts they lock up and put away.
Get rid of the karma. We
And
want to let go of karma.
through these
The karma is
friendships,
the
through
first
all
thing
of
that
this,
do
he
is the
created a
law of
couple
love. So
books.
because
He
it's
wrote a
so
couple books, a couple
precisely
media
and
pieces.
kindly
He
shows you what you're
sold
putting out will come
NBC
back
the
to you.
rights to do a show called Homicide. that
Life on the
made,
Street. That was a great show.
To allow you to
Yeah.
self-evaluate.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
if
the
you
fact.
watched any of that,
You
that
can
was all
say,
based on
when
a
I do
David
certain
Simon
things, when I
I
book.
loved that show.
called
That was one of the best
Yeah.
police dramas
believe
ever.
certain things, I'm going to attract that
The
back to
Richard
me.
Belzer
Perfect.
character is
That
based on a
doesn't
real
change who I
detective.
really am. It just changes what I want my life to be. And just by changing your thoughts,
Simon
your feelings,
wasn't
your emotions,
impressed
you can-
though
you
with
can
Homicide Life on the Street's ability to, as a
Go.
show, to raise awareness to
But
this
most of us are
problem.
used to what's
The
called
institutional
karma. What
rot.
goes around comes around. So you're creating karma today.
It's one of those that I have to watch. I know that I haven't, and everybody says good things about it. I've just
Well,
not
you
gotten to
being
it.
constantly 24/7 live makes it hard, I imagine, to watch some copyright.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So here's the way around it. I play a radio during it, or I play some kind of non-copyrighted music during it, all simultaneously. And that's going to change the world. When people start to realize, oh my God, we can watch brand new movies on YouTube. All we have to do is play a little bit of music during it, and we won't get a copyright strike. It's going to change the world.
There's a lot of really
Well, yeah, and my personal favorite is if you blend the music you play between a series of artists who will then have to fight each other over copyright claims. And you
Exactly.
can create what's called a copyright knot, in which no one can actually decide who's like. If you, the creator of the content, can have it, cannot have it, then no one can. Kind of a scenario. That was an old trick.
Genius.
Old content creator hack.
I'm pretty sure that still works based on how I understand the revenue district classic. If you know that like certain artists are like copyright litigious and that they will always claim it and that they'll always claim like from every angle possible, then you can basically pin them.
I mean, and it's the idea of it is as well. But you're right. I do run into copyright issues. The fact that people aren't necessarily, if I'm watching The Wire, let's say, they're not necessarily watching The Wire. They're watching me watch The Wire. Now I'm the entertainment. So they don't own the rights to that.
That's true.
And so it's my reaction.
Is your live stream a substitute for subscribing to HBO Max and watching an episode of The Wire? No, it's not. I think you, based on your setup, you successfully differentiate yourself from the product that is the episode by itself, which is a lot of the claim that YouTubers have is that they tweak and they modify and they play with stuff and they make it a joke, right? They've creatively modified the works and they're not using the bits that they use in parts of videos are not a direct substitute for the original product. And in that way, a lot of YouTube creators can avoid being managed for infringement.
You're absolutely right. And when you become more popular than the art, whatever you're watching, then that becomes secondary. I mean, as of right now, I've got 2 different documentaries going on right now. You can see those from different angles. Whether someone wants to watch that or watch me or watch my reaction to it, how are you going to, as an artist or a documentarian, going to get paid off of that? Nobody's, I hate to say it, but your art is no longer the main subject. It is secondary. You're not going to make any money off of this, but it's going to be super, super famous because I'm watching it and I have more content online than any person in global history. So it will be more beneficial to you to not have copyright claims.
Yeah, I'm actually like trying to tell some of these companies that, but, you know.
And the only way that they'll really see it is when they see it with their own eyes. One day this will go viral and people will say, oh my God, he's watched every major movie on this. He's listened to Potter. No, there's no way that literally lawyers would be able to litigate against me. Why? I mean, frankly, I'm kind of impenetrable. I'm already out here for 2 years. Go ahead, take down one of my videos. I got another 100,000 of them to put up, or that are already up. If you want to take down one angle, fine. I've got another 6 angles. You have to find it. It's like it's going to be impossible for them to find all their content, to the point where it's just essentially a perfect snapshot of the world over the course of the past 2 years or so, where you'll be able to grow with someone and see the development that they have. It's very, very unique, very, very interesting. But you're absolutely right. I have had to deal with that, with constant copyright issues. It's incredible to me what I have to go through to get around them. And it's also very interesting. I have phones right next to each other. I've got 3 phones right next to each other. One will get a copyright strike and the other 2 won't. And then maybe the middle one will get a copyright strike, and the first one and the last one will. Maybe the first one. It's incredible that these things are right next to each other. So it even tells you that their algorithm isn't accurate. And not only that, but I have it on camera. I have this on camera so that people can watch actually YouTube or Instagram or whatever and say, oh my God, their algorithm is inconsistent. And they're going to get very upset about that. Because why is it one person, literally these phones are right next to each other and I've got a camera on it, and one gets a live video stopped because of copyright strikes, and then the other one plays for another hour without any issues. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And I literally show them exactly. And once people start seeing that, they're going to say, hey, this isn't correct. And a lot of artists out there.
Yeah, you're dead right. There's I've seen Twitch streamers watching entire like copyrighted movies on their streams, and then I think the worst thing that happens is that the video on demand disappears, right? So you can't go back and rewatch it. But well, no one wanted to go back and rewatch it. They already hung out with their favorite streamer live and watched it with them in the first place.
Exactly.
And this Discord server literally nothing but me moving us into another channel, and the only
I move us into another channel is because I, just in case there's fed rats, I don't want fed rats getting food, which I educate. And sometimes that requires me showing raunchy stuff. And
That
there are
happens.
people who might get upset if I'm doing it in a public channel. So I pull it into what I call a semi-private channel, which I believe I can actually give you a. I'm just going to
Oh, I
go
see
ahead
it.
and give
Netflix.
you a role so you can now see. Yes, that is
Thank
now
you.
my semi-private channel. So if I'm ever in here hanging out with friends doing a movie watching session where we do what explication of the content, you're more than welcome to join us.
Very cool. I watched them
Usually things get pretty fun.
just before this chat. I watched American Psycho on Discord with the people from Wall Street Bets, and it's just like amazing to me that there's no copyright strikes on Discord when people make money off of Discord. Yet you can't. And same with Twitter. You could watch this on Twitter, no big deal. But you can't on Instagram. You can't on YouTube. You can't on TikTok.
Yeah, and I found out actually why that is recently. But this clip right here, this little clip, this has been in the zeitgeist for a while now. Mostly because people keep coming up to me, talking to me about the issues they're encountering. So this is lacking some context, but just know that a man in a very tough situation is at home with his wife between sort of office, between like on the weekend between office gigs, and he's talking about shit being totally fucked. And this moment in particular is a metaphor that can be utilized and retinkered and rethought about in a number of ways.
Jeff, when we take calls next hour with you, what do you prefer from people who want some kind of read? Just ask you a question about you.
I'd like to help people understand their karma, to help them give them insight on some relationships maybe connected to them relative to their life. I'm open to help people in any way that can be helpful.
What about a dearly departed one?
Absolutely. Well, because the person that will most likely come through will be connected to the soul agreement and so forth. So that, yeah, we can open it up that way too.
All right,
She's giving him political advice. In the context of the show, she's actually a political handler. She works as a state-level Maryland senator, and he's a police lieutenant. So she is, in that sense, is the political expert in the family. He is just a detective. He helps find drug dealers. That's his job. He's trying to do that job, but there's shit in his way. The shit being his own fucking bosses. So when he asks his wife for advice, that is what she tells him. And she's really a wise character in the course of the narrative of the show. But the show is meant to be a modern parable. And in that sense, it's been quite biblical.
I've heard excellent things about it. Like, it's probably one of the best shows of the last 2 decades. But I just haven't seen it yet. And the reason why, wasn't it on Showtime? HBO. Thank you. And I just didn't have it at the
That's
time.
what keeps it all locked down.
Right. Well, I'll definitely. I'm motivated to see it. Meaning, like the second we get off this call, like I'm gonna start up probably episode 1, so it will also be on the stream.
Oh yeah, yeah. The pilot episode begins. Yeah, the pilot episode begins with a true story, an actual factual story pulled right out of the case files of one of Simon's co-writer for the series. Simon did the whole crime reporter thing for 20 years. They partnered up with a homicide cop to do the narrative building
So that between them basically gives them a collective 50 plus years of understanding and thinking about violence and corruption on an institutional level in the United States. And when two people like that sit down for what I can only describe must be Yahweh's purpose, it really, the result is quite shocking. Not just to people who are not aware of how the world works right outside their window and a few blocks down the street, but also in them. It is actually quite simple to illustrate the corruption inherent in all of these people. That it's not actually just a cut and dry, oh, they're greedy and want to have all of the money, or they're a politician, they just want your vote so that you reelect them again. No, there are shades of fucking gray in this world. And when it comes down to brass tacks, if you hold a pistol to every person's head in every institution out there, if we think that, like, if we think we give them 10 seconds to live, tell the complete truth, God will forgive you, right? You'll be forgiven and granted absolution for all of your wrongs. Will you admit that you are rotten? And I guarantee that a large sum of these people, like given the moment of decision, like in raw absolute truth, very few of them would actually admit to being rotten. They would cry, they would probably be upset, they would ask not to be killed, but I doubt they would see themselves in their soul and their core as actually being rotten or corrupt, even if things they did or actions they took had disastrous consequences that wrecked or hurt thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people.
He was wearing a red hoodie. He made it as far as her security guard. He told them his
When
plan.
you
They called
put
police.
that
But
kind
he
of
didn't break any
executive
laws. He
power,
was
that
just
kind of
told to leave.
executive authority,
If you still have a
you have that
blockbuster
kind
video
of
card,
lever,
they might be
twisting,
making a
knob,
comeback. Their
pulling,
website says they're
dial
working on
adjusting,
rewinding your movie.
gravitas,
Flyer
for
weather
lack
for the
of a
weekend,
better
sunshine
term.
with highs in the low 60s.
Then
Atmosphere favorite number 13 coming
in
our
the
way
end,
Tuesday night. Right now, it's 50
you're going to try to do what you think is right, what you think is right. Why? The difference between you and the next guy, that's the most interesting thing in the universe to me right now. Because you and the guy next to you, especially if we're talking about the United States, you're from California. I'll come out and say it. Everybody here knows it already. I'm from Kentucky. I am in a violent, a red ocean. And if I throw a rock one direction, I'm liable to hit a gay progressive white voter who likes going to the theater and Netflix and chilling with a nice bowl of weed in the evening. If I chuck a rock the other direction, then I encounter urban swelling, kind of. Leave me the fuck alone, keep your government off my health care type guys who wear red caps and decry trans people. So it's the sheer unabashed polarization when I ask all of these different people around me from these disparate ways of life and ways of thinking, they all blame the technology. And they refuse, and I, of course, will then counter, but you, redneck Trump voting guy, aren't you making like a great side hustle selling all sorts of shit on Facebook? Yeah, actually, it's doing good for me. And you, like left-wing gay person, like as much as you hate like all of the media coverage of transgenderism, aren't you talking at the same time about how like all was
publicity is good publicity, and how maybe the culture war raise the awareness of the issue to like a hyper conscious level, even if it's obnoxious. And usually that leftovers, actually, you're right. We won the culture war. We got everyone talking about non-binary, transgender, and now there's shades of gray in terms of male and female. Like, maybe that's okay. We injected that idea into the global zeitgeist. And it's taking, like it's gonna get pushed back, but it's taking hold. So the pendulum, the Overton pendulum, is swinging. We can all feel it because it's gotten so violent that it's uncomfortable. Like, I'm the kind of guy who I thought nothing radical would bother me, but the polarization of today, Rabbi, so bothers me. It worries me.
I definitely could see how it would. It's a worrisome premise.
Your advocate, and your support system. With our unmatched
I don't mean to send it out to you.
that you'll get the compensation you deserve.
Kids, I think
Plus,
kids
our
think it's
consultation
one
is
answer,
always
right?
free. Call
Oh, that's nice, kids. We've got
You know-
now we officially have a debate. On one side, we have you saying the Luddites are right, and on the other side, we have Rabbi Rothschild saying it's time for us all to embrace transhumanism and become a giant one machine.
Cyber.
Kitch, was that you who said the Luddites were correct? I'm going to tell you what, that was a brilliant point.
Any technology that we create will inevitably be used for a horrible evil, and we will not be the end user of it.
I'm going to grab a snack on that note. I'll be right back.
Well, that could be. Somebody's got to be at the top, though, don't they?
Somebody does. That somebody is very guaranteed to be the super microscopic part of the 1%.
I think we all are. I know it's a race to the top, but somebody's got to have that power. So why not? Why can't we be the ones?
Well, this is just what caused the arms race in the beginning, too.
That's true. Honestly, I think we're in a point of another arms race in its own way. Several of them. There's AI, there's robotics, there's data. I mean, there are quite a few different ones. One thing, though, I think, well, at least when it comes to like my role in it and what I have to do, I mean, I realized this about a year ago when I had all this content online. That wow, I have more content online than any person ever. Meaning, I asked ChatGPT who has the most live streaming hours archived on YouTube, and I have over 127,872 hours. The next closest channel is Live Stream Fails with 57,000. After that, it's Twitch Highlights with 42,000. After that, it's Twitch TV. Essentially, what I'm saying is, I think in the future, people won't only want like media, but they like live they like live. Live is interesting to them. Not always recorded that interesting to people. In my case, I feel I do everything live, so you can watch it in real time. That's very important, and that data is going to be very important. And hopefully, when people start to find out about my stream, they're like, "Oh, okay, this is interesting. We can interact with this person. Yada yada yada. Great." And I can use that to perhaps, hopefully, climb that to the top of that, where you have the control over the robots, and you have control over the algorithms, and you have control over the AI. Because if somebody's got to have that, and they're not currently known. It's not Elon Musk. It's not Jeff Bezos. It's not anyone in the Rothschild family who has that kind of control, where they have that much data and that much control. And honestly, that's what I'm going for. I know it sounds probably pretty aggressive, but if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it.
Such a great ride, and this it does exactly that. It's 7 novels, Get ready for an amazing adventure. But an adventure will be
What?
with
Oh, sorry.
Wagon, who is looking for a crashed alien spaceship
I think
and realizes there's an alien invasion on the way. My God.
what was it?
Brace yourself, 'cause this war
Essentially, we're saying that somebody's got to be in control at the end of the day. Why can't it be us? Or why can't we be the people?
Get 20% off, by the way, the entire
Well,
Southern
it's
Novel
not
Series.
always somebody that has all the control. And in this new coming age, it certainly is being harder and harder for that because internet anarchy is just infinitely spreading, isn't it? Anyone can do anything. They just don't have to get caught. And then, even then, like, you just keep doing it. You keep going somewhere else.
It's back. The one out solid silver Ghana alien coin. Part of the silver
You see this with, like,
exclusively at Booyah.com.
content pirate streams
Inflation on the rise
and
and the
stuff,
teetering
you know.
such
It's just a really, really, really big web
They'll ship your
that
silver directly to your home.
you truly cannot have control over. Nobody can.
At booyahmax.com/.
The most that anyone is getting control over it with is like just being the most famous one or controlling the access to it.
Agreed. And with the amount of content that I have, I think I'd be the most famous
like
one.
ISPs and like Google.
Well, yeah, no, you're right about that.
You know, nobody is ever going to have the best interest for every single person. So it's a moot point no matter what. You can't just want to control anything when it comes to the internet, and it should never be attempted to control it. Because, again, it's just the Wild West. It should always be, and it probably never will be. Given that anyone can just start up a domain, and then you can go to that domain.
So long as that system's in place, it might not always be that way.
There'll be consequences for
It
it.
might be more controlled in the future. But if you have the ability to just start up a website,
What they might be teaching others.
Anyone can start a pirate radio.
that's true.
Consequences.
Anyone can start a domain.
Experience
Currently, absolutely.
all the feelings, all the suffering that the suffering.
Do you think they're gonna like take away our ability to solder things?
Yeah, they already. There's a right to repair that they're trying to remove, and I don't like it. But they want to take away the right to repair your own devices. In fact, it's done in a lot of places.
Well, that's just because of corporate greed. They want you to buy the new products.
That wasn't the
Correct, but I mean, when that starts to influence the law,
It's
then
not
you
stopping us from getting a shitty soldering iron that can't be like no one's gonna be able to take away our ability to just put copper together to make a thing that is a heat conductor.
in the future they may. In the future they may say, because of IT security, we don't want people doing anything offline, that includes soldering.
Depot.
Where would you put someone like a hippie in terms of a life number?
Did you say that you're not
Right at the bottom there?
Yeah, and a lot of gurus.
No, I said look out, Home Depot.
What I understand is just my word.
No,
Home
see my
Depot's getting attacked by the future police.
well,
They say
just for the record, I realize that what Rabbi Rothschild is saying on a surface might sound somewhat like a paranoia, but there was a recent video by Louis Rossman, who's a PC tech repair guy of 20 years. He actually talked about how the PC tech repair jobs, like the service gigs that he performed that got him into that business, they are gone. They've been destroyed.
Exactly.
And he explained how that there was a slow burn transformation of the PC service and repair industry over the past couple decades in such a proprietary manner that it effectively benefited Apple, Microsoft, and a handful of their parts manufacturers, basically. And they had found ways to cut out third-party service people who were obviously helping a lot of folks get a lot more life out of their computers. So they
Oh
were
yeah, there's
trying
also
to
the other end of that as well, where there's now companies that are explicitly making individual modular part computers that have the right to repair put back into them.
Am I going to be a murderer?
Those are our friends. We like
They
those
are our friends. I really hope that they don't get assassinated or something.
A great example is someone who's seeking to
Well, we would like to protect their right to do that kind of stuff, and it would be super important if, for example, a giant corporation started lobbying to make such companies illegal, that we, stand up and actually say, hey, no, that's wrong. If you approve that, we're throwing you out of office.
Very important to understand what
That would be super bad
agreement is,
for all of the reasons, because it would lead directly to the things that
around an individual.
Rothschild's talking
I
about
could ask the person just two questions, and I have a really strong idea of what their sole agreement is based on the archetype that they're possibly presenting in some of the major choices they're making in their life.
Well, let's go to the calls to start things up. We'll go to Austin, Texas, east of the Rockies. Rhonda's with us. Hello, Rhonda. Go ahead.
Hi, George. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Oh, you're good.
In recent years, we've had a lot of losses in our family, and I was wondering
Building a
if
better
anyone
future
had
is
any
hard,
messages for me.
Oh, well, I mean, right now I'm building
All right,
a builder
Jeffrey.
bracelet of
Okay, Rhonda,
Gmail,
so,
I guess one.
I get a mother figure connected to you in the spirit world.
Just like
She's showing me yellow roses. Do you have a
they
connection
didn't
with yellow
lay
roses?
the road to Rome.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
All
you're
at
a
once.
caretaker for her
yeah.
That's true.
because she
Took
showed
generations
you
to build the happy way.
And any connection with rabbits?
That's correct, brother. That's
Not
right.
that I can think of right this second.
So then lastly, is there anything around Easter connected to your mom?
Speaking of
And
which,
she was born.
speaking of
close to
ancient
Easter.
history,
Okay, so she's
You
showing
might
that
enjoy
that's
this.
significant.
as far as rabbis, like I've talked with everyone about everything. Well, hey, I bet you haven't had someone ask you this. What do you think of Graham Hancock's ancient apocalypse?
Oh no, I only have one child. I'm sorry.
Telling me she's a guardian.
Hancock, but I'm not
My
fully
grandchildren.
briefed on that particular
Okay,
piece of
so
media. Can you help me with it?
And she's showing you she's
Sure.
guardian to the
Graham
three little ones.
Hancock is himself, just giving you my
A really
unbiased
valuable
opinion.
lesson that you're
He's a
learning about
writer.
in this life.
He's written some
And I feel
books
this really
purporting
strong.
to
Your
put
mom
out
had a
a
lot of
theory
emotional,
of human civilization that has yet to be proven.
favorable to her.
His theory is that around the time of the last ice age,
Sunshine. See, that's
there was
the
a
yellow
globe-spanning
roses. So
civilization,
you bring a lot
and
of light to
he's
others.
trying to
And you're like a nurse
connect
because
the
you
dots in
help
the
so many
common
people.
elements of theologies, of cultures across human civilization, and similar parallel developments and discoveries to try to use that to indicate that meant there was like a single globe-spanning, basically a globe-spanning capitalist super civilization that was embraced by the ice age, tectonic shifting. And he's also alleged that Atlantis was part of this super civilization, and that
So, again, the message from your
I
mom is,
don't want
first of all,
this. Some people, he's hinted there might be aliens involved. He's a little on that
and
train,
don't worry, I'm
and I
watching
don't
out for
want
the
to.
three little ones.
He never explicitly
Telling you how you
says
just really
ETs or UFOs or anything like that, but he kind of leads that way to sort of suggest that there is no way that most of the peoples,
it's an impression.
the peoples
I
built
opened
all
my
of those
mind
megaliths
to it, and I feel
5, 10, 20,000 years ago. There is simply no way that they would have done that without advanced knowledge of architecture, physics, and engineering. Things that would not show up until the Greeks and the Romans in Mesopotamia. And the issue is,
Let's go next.
Graham Hancock then
Whoa,
gets this
Kansas,
Netflix
first time caller. Thanks,
special
Bo, go ahead.
where he gets 6 episodes talk to sort of walk around a couple of ancient sites, postulate this theory, while honestly spending most of his editing and on-screen time trying to skewer the academics.
Well, I'm a little familiar with him. Go ahead. From what he said on Joe Rogan, and I know a little bit about him. I mean, I know his theories are interesting. I just don't know enough about them, and there's not enough evidence, I would say.
Oh. Well, I've listened to enough archaeologists, and I've spent enough time with actual archaeologists that sort of know, just going in, that a lot of what Graham Hancock is saying is not really feasible. It's not really possible. Like, there's a number of reasons why each one of his claims kind of doesn't really hold water in the heat they think it does when he stitches his tapestry together. I still had a ton of fun watching the show. Like, I still enjoyed the heck out of it. Like, I don't have to think everything is, gospel or Gnostic in order for me to get some kind of value out of it.
Sure.
But there were just a ton of people who were buying what Hancock is selling hook, line, and sinker when it comes to this whole I'm being squelched, I'm being censored, nobody wants to hear me. Bro, you're on Joe Rogan. You have a Netflix special that's blowing up on Twitter. Like, no offense, sir, but you are the opposite of censor.
Right.
I would argue that the guy we're talking to right here now, Rabbi Rothschild, is probably as prolific a streamer as he is, had moments or two where he's like, man, I feel like we're being censored. I feel
absolutely.
like we're being squelched. And I bet even with as many hours and days as you've live streamed, there's been moments where you've felt like there were that the algorithm or the machine was conspiring against you.
It'll flat out tell you, like on Reddit, for instance, if I post something, it says you're shadow banned. It tells me you're shadow banned. It's like, well, what am I going to do? It tells me I'm shadow banned.
Did they tell you why you got shadow banned?
No, I think it had to do, Reddit used to allow you to stream using a video. It used to let you just like live stream. And so I would live stream my life to it like I do everything else. And they consider that spam, but they don't necessarily define what spam is. Like, what is spam? I mean, like, that's, to me, like, having video of someone's life can be very, very interesting, but to other people it's not. So it's like,
subreddit era, I bet you could have gotten away with it because you would have been like, oh, this is the Rabbi Rothschild subreddit. I'm live streaming my life into the Rabbi Rothschild subreddit. I am the moderator of the Rabbi Rothschild subreddit. Therefore, I get to decide what is spam and what is not spam in my subreddit.
I wish they would have allowed that. The fact is, you could only use what they called RPAN, Reddit's like streaming only on certain subreddits. So I had to do it to either like world news or like hip hop music or like all these like random ones. It's just like they didn't fit really well. Now, when you were talking about Graham Hancock, I really like to use the, like I was saying, ChatGPT, the Do Anything Now version, to get like good bullet points on the theories. So I ask it for like 100 true facts about something. So the last one I asked about was holographic technology. So now I want to ask it 100 true facts about Graham Hancock's ancient apocalypse.
Yeah, no, there was an ice age of like at the time he talks about it, all of the civilizations he talks about actually existed. He doesn't deny any of their existences. Like a lot of the archaeologists just don't like how he takes away their agency and assigns it to a super race that no one has any evidence of, which is not really that different from the ancient aliens guys always going. It's remarkable that the Egyptians could possibly have lifted the bricks into this orientation. You know, you get the ancient, actually ancient sort of old geezers on there talking really ridiculous things about how there's no way the Assyrians could have built or there's no way that the Egyptians could have built the island temple of Balad. Like, it's too perfect. Well, guys, when you're the king of the whole peninsula and you have an entire army and civilization at your beck and call that thinks you are a living god, then I'm going to be honest, you probably have a lot of reach. And you can probably get some smart people in your orbit very quickly and very easily if you put your mind to it, which we're doing it.
Something that we need to learn from,
And that knowledge and skills, that information translated across at least 50 generations of Pharaoh leaders. So you get one good Pharaonic leader who can school his kids and grandkids, then you've got a Pharaonic dynasty that's going to last for a while. And it makes sense to me. But then again, I guess I've played way too many games of Crusader Kings.
So let me go to that. So Carolyn May, Louise Hay are some
That's a classic one. I gotta be careful what I say. I don't want to get Rabbi in trouble, so I'm not
teacher. And in this case, when you look at your digestive system, it's connected to your solar plexus chakra.
I don't think you're going to get me in trouble. Crusader Kings, the game?
Any problems with liver with you?
That's a great game.
no.
What about
yes,
pancreas?
it is.
What's going to get me in trouble with that?
So in that area, though, so you
Just because conversations about game mechanics outside of the context of the game
From my
are
mom,
really just, I'm just going to say it, they're racy and offensive. There are entire YouTube videos you can watch if you want to sort of things Crusader Kings say. There are many a Reddit that's read forged and minted with just the questions and thoughts that have occurred to people while playing Crusader Kings that in the context of the mechanics make perfect sense why they would wonder these questions. But if you pull it out of the game context and you just like say them out loud without any context, it sounds like madness. Like, today, I think I'm gonna make my French son fuck his sister. Like you can say all sorts of, in the context of Crusader Kings, there's like a ton of mechanical gameplay reasons why you would do stuff like that. But saying it out loud, it just sounds, evil and feudalist and very King Louis XVI, which I almost think is what the developers wanted. Because the whole thing is relational and cultural and religious conflict boiled down into sort of numbers. And it's tinkering with it is just brings me a puerile kind of joy. And especially when you can achieve some really funny results. My personal favorite is always transplanting Jesus of Nazareth into like 860 AD Jerusalem as like a stealthy imam who's secretly spreading like Judaism underneath the caliph's nose. And Caliph also doesn't even care that he's doing it because he's just so likable and charming. Usually when I try to do that Crusader Kings run, whoever the big Muslim dynasty always makes Jesus like the chief steward of the realm, like of the entire Muslim world at that point. It's usually really awkward because somebody finds out really quickly, like, my daughter, you realize that the man you put in charge of all about the realm's finances is secretly a Jew.
In relation to Graham Hancock, I'm going to put in the chat what ChatGPT said about the series. And can you just confirm those are like some of the points of that series? So the ancient Maya predicted the end of the world in 2012, but the prophecy was mistranslated and actually referred to as global flood. The Great I've heard this one from him. The Great Sphinx of Giza is actually much older than currently believed and may have been constructed during a previous apocalyptic event. The ancient city of Atlantis was real and was destroyed by a massive volcanic eruption triggered by a global flood. The pyramids of Egypt were not tubes for furs, but actually energy generating machines. I've heard these things. I don't know if
These are all. He doesn't make any of these claims outright. But what he does in the context of the documentary is he points, he sets you up to doubt what archaeologists have told you about the origins of these works of humanity. And then he supplies you an alternative thesis that in his mind explains not only why you are being lied to, but also how all of this happened and why we all have a shared cultural kind of sense of the universe. And I think he's being reductive to the point of offense, which is presumably why a lot of the academics do not like him very much, because he's telling them that they're assholes. So, basically, when you poison the well, you can't really be surprised when you drink the water and it tastes bad. Because that's basically what he's done with much of his work. The list that I find just starting it up. The Great Sphinx of Giza is actually much older than it's currently believed. The reason people say that is because there's a photo of the Sphinx before it was restored and it looks like shit. Because, not surprisingly, several hundred years of civilizational neglect and intercontinental colonization warfare did not exactly leave the 19th century Egyptian state a lot of money with which to secure artifacts of a dead civilization. So they just kind of left them to the sand, and the sphinxes and a lot of other tombs and stuff. There's a lot of stuff was lost, let's be honest here, but a lot of stuff was pillaged too. And the claim in particular that the pyramids are giant energy generating machines. I can personally tell you, I went to the Great Pyramid of Giza when I was 10 years old. I had to climb up on the first layer of the brick that lifted me up so that I could sit on it. I actually got to go inside.
That's incredible.
I got to descend all the way down into the tomb. And I can confirm for anyone in any audience listening to me, those are tombs. They are field dank, dusty inner chambers with sarcophagi and all of the trappings that you would expect of a location that somebody thought was the end of their world. Like, that is what it was, that is what they are, that's what they've represented to those people. They got an extra special world in their locations because these folks were the kings. They were the ruling class. They got the god tier resting place because in that civilization at that time,
those people were God-tier people. And their people labored generations to show how much they thought those folks were God-tier. And that's a hell of an impact, and it's really hard to anthropologically understand that from a modern lens. It doesn't make any sense to us because we're lazy and entitled, used to awesome standards of living. But when you're a fucking, when everything is segmented by culture group and class, and you have priestly classes who run a polytheistic civilization with a God, man, king, ruler, there's just so many wires being crossed. All senses, it's a miracle that they had any kind of bureaucracy at all. But not only did they have a bureaucracy, but it was masterful. Like, we're still kind of grieving over how good their bureaucracy was. The Romans thought that their shit was epic and took a lot of ideas from
That's true. I'm not denying it.
it's the anthropology of like the construction of the pyramids is something that so many people are just like it's impossible to understand. What could motivate tens of thousands of people over 5 generations of themselves and their own progeny to labor on one man's tomb from possibly 100 years ago? I mean, I'm talking about how irrelevant 20 years ago feels at times in this chat. How the hell are we going to justify anthropologically that a group of people could labor 5+ generations to build one man's tomb over several hundred years? Well, the reality of their scenario was this was a state public works project. And as we know in this country, state public works projects are not completed overnight. They require a lot of money, and a lot of time, and a lot of man hours. And chances are what they had was they had planning that was stretched way far into the future, and they allocated entire villages. They basically built entire villages of poor people to labor specifically on these public works projects. These villages were supported through a payment in what I understand to be essentially superfood. The Pharaoh and his boys came up with a porridge. It was like magic. From a modern perspective, it's magic porridge, magic soup, basically. But to those guys back then, it quite literally contained everything that they needed to survive and actually be happy. It was about 3.5 to 4% grain alcohol, and it was also full of nutrients, carbohydrates, lots and lots of vitamins and grains, and a whole bunch of other stuff. The Romans would eventually feed this same porridge to their gladiators.
Order now at healthylooking.com.
It's basically the same recipe, but they needed like a universal superfood, and the alcohol, this soup, beer, porridge thing, I don't really know what to call it because we don't really have a modern equivalent for this food. So I have to sort of describe it as all of these things because it is all of these things. This food was basically so important that like it produced half of the great works of the Egyptian civilization, because it was fueled by this food. And if the state, well, the state was subsidizing it, it was free. the king provided you the house. The king provided you with superfood for your wife and kids. Like, all you had to do was keep showing up to work. It sounds to me like the world's most equitable arrangement in a Bronze Age civilization.
Oh my God. Egypt invented the world's first meats.
If you think about it that way, yeah, that's what a slave is in that sense. That they're a person who's, you don't want them to learn anything. You definitely don't want to teach them more than you need to teach them. And as far as payment, you don't want to even think about having to compensate them any more than is absolutely necessary. So for the pharaonic Egyptian state, right there in the Nile Delta, what the hell have they got more than anything else out? It's flaxen and grain. They were rich in food. They could get, that was the one thing they could give away was food.
In this film, economists and Nobel Prize winning PhDs from Wharton, MIT, and Stanford share a strange concept.
I want to give myself some of that porridge.
It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is never as good if the market crashes. That's right.
Yeah, there is a recipe you can look up. I think it's basic to make a modern kind of porridge. You're basically going to need like a little. If you're going accurate, you're going to want to add alcohol because back then, how do you keep somebody docile, right? You gotta add a little bit of kick to that porridge, man. You gotta make sure that they don't get too thoughtful, too uppity. You gotta make sure they're docile.
It sounds like a really fun thing for like an instructional person, like a college planner might put in their plan. Here, we're gonna make this thing for while we're talking about ancient history.
When I was in college, my cultural land teacher actually brought in a bowl of homemade gladiator's porridge.
Yeah.
And it was thick. You do not think it is going to be thick, but I asked her, I was like, why is it so thick? I thought it was like, just because it's soupy doesn't mean it's a soup. It's actually more like infused dough. And you kind of eat it with your hands.
That's amazing.
And
Alderby really wants a piece of that.
Yeah, and it was like, it was wet, but not wet in the same way dough is wet. And I understand, I was like, why is it like this? She said, well, you need carbs, but no one has time to fucking bake this for you because you're a fucking slave. And no one wants you to think too hard about it. So they're gonna, spritz it with some wine or some alcohol, or they're gonna water it down with something to make you complacent. And if they give it to you in just the right amount, then they'll feed it to you before battle, and you'll go out onto the field like lit. Oh, like the dough is going to be slowly seeping the alcohol. It's going to be slowly secreting the alcohol, and of course your liver can't process it that fast. So if you're a gladiator being sent to your death in the arena, it's going to kind of juice you up, give you a little bit of that alcohol-induced your inhibitions, right? You've lost a bit of your inhibition, which is what they want. They want you to be less afraid, uninhibited.
I think you're right. They want.
I'm pretty sure that for the Egyptian slaves, they kept the percentage of alcohol under 4% because they didn't want them so disinhibited.
They still have to work. Yeah, they still have to build the thing.
But with the Roman gladiators, it's a different story. They upped the alcohol percentage because they wanted those guys to be disinhibited. They wanted them to be less afraid and more crazy when they went out there.
both
Weren't
of
the
you.
gladiators like performance art though?
Very
Yeah.
much by the book
They
kind of
you
guy,
gotta
like,
still
he
be
doesn't
able to
follow the rules, he doesn't
choreograph your
follow the
attacks and stuff properly
It
with
was-
your
Very
opponent.
good at
Mini bag.
analyzing things,
Knees back.
but not feeling
Yeah, the
comfortable going
gladiators were
outside of that.
performance
Where
art.
you
I finished.
aren't more that way. That's what he's
Oh, I see.
relative to you. And you're teaching him that key from
What was that,
his
Cyber?
experience in the spirit world.
I
He's
said
looking
Mini
down
got
and
back
he's
just when I
witnessing it.
finished making.
When you go back to teaching, do it purely from
Oh.
an intuitive perspective and let it find you.
Show pictures,
And
please. Pretty please.
everything's wonderful. He's showing me that May, the month of May, is
She
really
wants
important to you.
pics. She wants the pics.
So,
Thanks for
I do.
Who was the other person?
The other one is was a romantic relationship. He passed away 9 months ago.
You pick up anything
Pretty.
there, Jeff? Jeffrey?
That's when I came up with the
piece of
pattern
turquoise
for
jewelry.
so
some connection with the
cool.
turquoise piece of jewelry. And you guys have plans to travel to the
yes,
Southwest?
fine.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's something about Native American culture that would have been important on that trip.
Oh,
Yeah, he lived in Arizona for many years, and that's one place where he wanted to take me.
So turquoise is the stone for Arizona, so that's why it goes.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I feel like he's encouraging you to still go on that trip, that he'll be a part of that with you. And
Oh,
there's
man.
something about grounding and
New York got a lot harder after I
harmonizing your
killed that
energy.
the main baddie.
When you guys used to go to diners for breakfast,
Now we've got like named enemies roaming.
Every day he did.
I just feel like if you want it, it's just
Yeah.
like going up to the counter and sitting at the counter. You just go there and you'll know I'm there.
Okay.
So I hope that's helpful.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, Lisa, thank you too. Sometimes it's not easy to tell somebody about their departed friends, is it?
Yeah.
It's
Nicely
it-
done,
it-
Cyber.
Oh, speaking of new keyboards, have I shown you guys the
I felt really sorry about that karma connection, but
this keyboard that
there's
I
one thing doing that site,
Come on,
we
Bill.
saw that
You
I was
find a
connected to
nightmare
her father,
keyboard,
so it felt
kids.
safe for him to step in.
well,
On that side, they don't,
it sure is a thing that exists. Hello, what is it, Leo?
Let's go west through the Rockies. Chucky's with us in Seattle. Chucky, how can we help?
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Okay.
Chucky, good.
So I have,
Alright, I'll just let it show for itself. Nick, if you wanna pull this up or something, I don't know. I'll put it in the voice chat for you.
Solo and Rahul. I just want to know, because as an Indian, we believe in
Voice
reincarnation.
chat or
So
the
I want to know if they are, reincarnated, if they're doing good.
Centerpiece keyboard revival.
Reveal.
Oh, reveal.
Man, what has today done to you, man? Are you okay? I know there was a lot of
He's been really busy today.
There was a crypto rug.
Oh.
There was
He wanted to work on helping others to heal.
Yeah, there was a huge crypto rug that I'm
You help them get off the street, so you help them get into a home. Does
mess
that
up,
make
and
sense?
then there was
Yes, I was
a executive of a currently running project I cannot name.
healing from both
Me and my friends
so
up and was like, yo, we need to
that you gave him his
notes, we
first
need
big
a
chance and a
dossier.
big
This is,
opportunity, and he said,
I've got
now
some
it's
shit
time for
going
you.
on. I don't trust this one
Are you
dude.
planning on moving from that area?
Yeah, there's
There's all sorts.
Soon, but I am
All
struggling to like, get my life together, job and situation there.
On top of that, I was doing proofreading,
Because he's showing me,
copy
I
console,
feel like I want to be in a
or some
smaller
other
town,
guys.
and I feel like I'm more
I'm being
so the
blown
mountains
up a
than the
whole
ocean.
phone right now because I think
I keep hearing him. You know how some people when they listen to music,
today's
they
the
drum
day
with their
when
hands,
he
like
needs
they
to
just
sort of
beat on the dashboard,
boy.
the table. Yep. You remember that about him?
Yeah, he was very musically. I still listen to his songs, whatever he loaded on my phone, time to time.
So music's going to be an important way, but see the rhythm he's showing me is he's telling me to take it slower, take it slower, take it slower. Don't rush it, don't rush it. And I just have to say, he's
Yeah,
really
he loves God. This guy really liked the way I phrased
this. A new beginning.
garage startup. Yeah, I call
Karmic around you
He's-
because you're
he's
really
garage
working
startup.
on self-esteem again. I'm going back to that
He liked
standing up
that.
for yourself and believing in yourself.
Yeah, look at this keyboard.
You have an artistic nature about yourself, but you don't trust it or you don't believe in it.
2 years of research and development.
And not what your
Oh my
family and friends
goodness.
wanted you to
Okay.
do. But it's something totally different. Dan, have you ever cooked or done anything like that in the kitchen?
I love cooking. I do have a side business where I have a clothing brand that I design clothes and I sell on the side as a hobby.
Okay. I like that, but I like that it's something with the cooking.
Self-powered with its own GPU, CPU.
Because you're really, really good with your hands, very talented. And
Now, I know what you're thinking. It's a little bit ostentatious,
Yeah.
but
No, now
it makes up for it by only being 80%. So you know that it's only for leisure.
You don't even have words. The letters aren't even on the keys.
Who needs letters
Thanks, Chucky. Hope everything works out for you.
when your keyboard is this
How often
funky looking?
Yeah.
No, I absolutely despise this keyboard, but I can't stop showing it to people because it's so funny. It is,
Yeah, no, it's
it is so comedically unnecessary. It does not have a numpad. It is intentionally an 80%. Why?
This is absolutely the kind of keyboard I would put on like the set of my metaverse music video, but I would never actually use it. But yeah,
No, what I want is
I'm that rich. I have this shit.
I want a full keyboard that has the stylings of it, while also having reasonable like keycaps and just the backlight, because I'm not an animal. Just give it a backlight, make it have the nice Rococo type, Baroque type looking ass, Gothic styling. Look at this. Look at the keyboard itself. The detail. It is beautiful.
Is a soul or spirit?
And then they just put a fucking screen on it, I
Does
guess.
that mean you can't get in touch with them to find out about their life?
Yeah, no, it's
Now, when I think
it's
of bathtub
definitely a handsome
of
keyboard.
water analogy
It
before,
it has violins behind it for a reason. Or at least I think it has violence because it's been a while I haven't actually watched it.
And so, even with another aspect of your soul, because it's not identical to the spirit that's in this body,
Certainly looks
when
like
another
it
aspect
stand
of
up
you
to the
incarnates,
violence.
there's always still that memory.
No, I
of
said
joy.
violins.
Energy,
Violin.
we're eternal
Yeah,
beings.
the fancy
Man,
band.
I'm one who was hearing
on
things.
some level, and you can access it. As some people say they use the Akashic records. It's a
Oh, God.
metaphor for a library.
Hey, are you guys gonna get back into the game?
Cyber, you know what? If you want to play some more, I encourage you. Actually, I encourage you to.
Actually, I'm inside of the Big Apple, so I can't recommend you come to me if you
Oh yeah,
can.
No,
you can't do it.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna look around and do my own thing for a bit.
Yeah, I have a bounty here for the big evils, like a full-on mercenary company not just random raiders. And I do not trust myself to not get obliterated by these guys without a second person. Given that the random people have names now because they are that strong.
Like I do end up there a lot.
I would not be able to help you.
Also, you're very good at helping people
I have
find
not
their
reached that
own
level of
voice.
perfection.
Extra bullet though.
Yeah, I like to try to empower people. Sometimes I do.
This is important because that's what you're
I would absolutely be down
the work that
for
you're doing for others. You're helping
fun,
yourself
but
tonight.
I am
Like
losing
tonight because
cogency and coherency right in front of you, as I
that is kind
Yes.
of
point
secondary
out,
heart chakra stuff that you have
which is usually the time that I need to
this
hang up
ability
my
to make
Web3
other people
hat.
feel better about themselves. But it doesn't
I
always
think it's
work
time for you to
yourself.
enjoy a nice, relaxing
Yourself short, and
hot bath or something.
you're a good
And,
giver, but you're not a good receiver.
yeah,
You know what I mean by
Maybe
that?
some wine, maybe? I don't know.
That sounds
Unfortunately,
really good. I think I'll go do that.
And so try to
Wine
put yourself
actually
in that
sounds
space of
I don't have any
because
alcohol.
the great master Jesus taught people to give it, to receive it, or
That
receive it to
sounds
give.
good.
Some brain detangler.
A harmonic balance of giving and receiving.
Absolutely.
Do what?
You want to be in that place. You
Brain
want other people to
detangler?
have the opportunity
Oh,
to give
Something
to
that
you.
detangles your brain because you don't have to think at all.
And really your purpose has been like a gift to you. I see you wandering. And it's not that you're going to develop a specific skill. It's you're going to do lots of different things. But when it comes to homes and houses and stuff, you're very good at organization and cleaning. Does that make sense?
yes, for some reason I kind of like it.
Where are these bounty people?
Like your influence.
Good God.
Little chores.
Should I guess let kids know with your help, kids, presumably, because
the energy of that. But I also,
the asking what you were doing earlier this evening.
What could I possibly have to offer? What?
okay,
Oh,
but
well,
your big
I was
message
just
is
saying, like,
be
when
empowered, and welcome
when we
others to
invited
help do that.
a
Set that
fourth
intention
person
and
to join the
allow
clan
that
and
flow
activated
to
a
happen.
bunch of
And I wish
progression
you blessings.
mechanics.
Oh,
When we added you and you did all of that grinding, it helped the group.
Just my birthday last day, but it's
All of us playing the game just kind of activated a collective bonus for everyone and was part of the group.
Oh, that's cool.
The bonus that it activated is that back at like the main base, I don't know what that is in New York, because I don't remember that, but back at the White House, if you go to the clan area of the White House, there's now a vendor who sells really high-end items, and apparently it resets once a week. So I checked it out, and there were like multiple things that I could use that were like upgrades.
I'm sorry, I'm in a really loud gunfight between a bunch of people. Oh no. Oh no. They got the miniguns out.
No problem. I just thought you would on it. Yeah. All right. So, sorry to bounce out on you, friends, but yeah, I'm hitting the wall. It is at 5 a.m. time. So, Rabbi, thanks again for joining us.
Absolutely.
For some excellent discourse. Hopefully, I showed you the tier of discourse to which my community is usually accustomed.
Absolutely. I want to just thank you so much.
Your acquaintance.
I want to thank you so much for the tips and teaching me all of that. I really enjoyed our time together. Look forward to it in the future. You guys can always join us on Twitter Spaces if you want. I'm always online. If you ever need me, you ever want to talk, not having a good day, I'm here for you. And please, if possible, Nexus, consider that Ask Me Anything. I would really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, I will definitely be thinking about it. nothing else. I've just got a lot of, let's just say, irons in the fire right now. That preclude me from like making any big event arrangements unless like there's some kind of way for me to inject value into the community, as it were. That's usually the onus for platforming a project or a group of people on the AMA stage here in the Discord server. But when it comes to like me going elsewhere, the rules are a little different. That's just how it has to work when it comes to platforming something here, like in the Discord.
Certainly understand that. Anything, any help you could be, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, boss. Yeah, boss. No, we'll talk more. This is not a closed conversation.
No, not at all. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, boss. Yeah, boss. Thanks again.
Excellent. I'm going to head out as well. It was a pleasure to meet you, Cyber Unicorn and Kids. And of course, Nexus, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
You too, boss. Have a great night, Rabbi.
You too. Take care, everyone. All right, let's see you get bumped from the booted band. It's known as band, son. Can't even find that motherfucker anymore. All right. Yeah, I think I am.
There's no deal, but
Yeah.
the 3-day strike is now over. Mayor Karen Bass is mediating the talks. Workers say
That's
the
not the
possibility of
one you
another
want.
strike is not off the table. State Senator Roger Nilo is calling for an audit about the money being spent on California's homeless crisis.
The state has spent about $20 billion in the last roughly 5 years. And during that same period of time, the count of people living on the streets has increased significantly.
Police are looking for a parrot stolen off a porch in Santa Ana. It was all caught on camera. The thief took the African gray parrot and his cage. The man is described as a heavy-set Hispanic driving a red SUV. A group of thieves broke into Captain Fish collectible shop in Tujunga, stole over $1 million worth of rare collectibles. It was all caught on camera. It took the crew 5 minutes to smash their way in and take off. Among the items stolen, a pair of signed Kobe Bryant shoes. Police are looking into it. U.S. and Canada are expected to announce an agreement to turn away asylum seekers who cross the border illegally. Mark Mayfield has more.
President Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will likely make the agreement public on Friday. The deal would apply to those without U.S. or Canadian citizenship or caught within 14 days of crossing the U.S.-Canada border. Illegal crossings between the two countries have climbed to record high levels.
Panera Bread employees will soon be able to greet you by name thanks to a scan of your palm. The fast food chain announced it will start rolling out Amazon One technology that will allow customers to link their loyalty accounts to their handprints. Panera says it will be optional. Southbound weather from KFI, drier weather for the weekend, sunshine with highs in the low 60s. Right now it's 50 in San Juan Capistrano, Cypress has 49, 46 for Glendora, and 52 in Manhattan Beach. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Bree Tennant.
In Costa Mesa, there is a full freeway closure 405 northbound from the 73 to Fairview Road. All lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 5. And in Roland Heights, this is on the 60 westbound at Nogales. We have a crash there. Out of lanes and on the right shoulder, but watch for some wicked little lanes as you approach. Santa Clarita, there is a work zone 5 southbound from Calgrove to the 14. 2 left lanes going to be shut down for road work until 6. KFI and the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Brian Vance. On Ice-T's Daily Game podcast, the cultural icon unveils words of wisdom and motivational quotes he's collected over the years. No punches are pulled, as Ice shares his special brand of profound and brutal honesty on topics like romance, success, failure, and more. You can't sit back and say, I'm going to win this game and not go to practice. You still got to play that game. Faith and your mind is just not going to make it happen. Listen to Ice-T's Daily Game on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
From 1909 to 1979, state-run hospitals in California performed thousands of sterilization procedures as part of eugenic law. After 1979, this practice continued until state prison. If you were left unable to have biological children after surgery while living in a state-run facility or while in custody of a California prison, you may be entitled to compensation. For a confidential application, call 1-800-777-9229. Deadline to apply is December 31st, 2020.
Hey, Steve Sharp, if you're planning utility company got together and changed the way new solar systems get reimbursed for the power they produce. And as you can guess, it's not as good for you and me. In fact, it's about 75% less than the old system. The good news is there is a grandfathering period, and you can still permanently lock in those amazing rates. But time is running out. The deadline to have your solar documents filed is April 14th. So how do you do that? You start by calling Sunlux, and you call them today. Sunlux will walk you through how to lock in the current rate. Even if you're not ready to install the system, it's okay. Call Sunlux and get your documents filed. There is no time to waste to lock in the best returns on solar power that you will ever see. Start today at sunlux.com. Sunlux.com. CSLB 1008374.
Need high-quality windows and doors for your home? Marvin Dealers is your trusted partner from the beginning to the end of every project and can help you find the right Marvin windows and doors for your space. Make space for the little things, the big things, and things you never expected. Make space for connection and celebration, for personality and possibilities. Make space for beauty, for better living, and a quality that endures. Make space for love. When you find a place for Marvin windows and doors in your home, you can make space for what matters. Marvin Dealers are here to help with your Marvin window and door project. They make it easy to find quality Marvin windows and doors that fit your needs. Visit replacementmadeeasy.com today to set up your free consultation. That's replacementmadeeasy.com.
This is Jacob and Ronnie. If you've been in an accident, call 844-24-JACOB. The people in prison committed the crimes, period. And that's all that matters. Their color, their ethnicity doesn't matter. They committed the crimes. And gangs are in the business of crime. John and Ken, they don't do anything else but commit crimes all day. Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI. And on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. KFI, AM 640. This program has been pre-recorded.
Highlight of my fucking day.
From the City of Angels near the Pacific Ocean, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm George Norrie. This is Coast to Coast AM. Later tonight, past lives and soul agreements. Here's what's happening. Bipartisan legislation could stop the federal government's decades-long practice of
Powerful basic capabilities. We're going to continue to make it easier and easier in a variety of ways to interact with it.
Legislators reintroduced a bill that would overhaul
more staff to protect the banking system only if warranted. That comment to Congress came a day after her remarks on nationwide deposit insurance that rattled markets. And the current Bloomberg economic reporter joins us now for more. And it's interesting, we're talking about reinsuring deposits, but what's the thinking here on how that's going to get funded?
Well, I guess the first point was the Treasury Secretary is trying to calm markets and reassure investors, like you said, and roll back some of the confusion that came out of her earlier remarks to lawmakers during the weekend. She was essentially saying the Treasury is there, willing to take whatever steps are necessary to backstop depositors when it's merited. So she's trying to tread a fine line. She's obviously not wanting to suggest that they have the authority to give out these kind of blanket backstops to banks and depositors, but she also realizes, of course, it's a very fragile situation, very fragile sentiment towards U.S. regional banks in particular at the moment, and she's trying to make clear that regulators do have options that they could consider when and if it's needed. So, it's a confidence play. It's a classic role of an economic official, trying to ensure confidence in the system, reassure investors they are willing and ready to take whatever steps are needed. But of course, she has to balance the realpolitik of that situation as well, making sure Congress are inside, while also, of course, well as, of course, trying to tread the whole moral hazard debate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there might seem to be a tension between the comments we heard from her one day versus another, the first day of testimony versus the second. But Dan Tarullo, formerly of the Fed, making the point to Bloomberg TV in the last 24 hours that there is a difficulty here because there are limits to what the Treasury can do along with the FDIC without the support of Congress. And that's what's being reflected in the two different testimonies we got from Yellen here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Politics is a big part of this. You know, essentially the Treasury would have to make sure they've got the political backing, the backing of Main Street to go out and say, backstop the banking system in one shape or another. That's not always popular. You know, banking depositors is one thing, but backstopping other parts of the bank doesn't necessarily always go down well with the public and making sure that the taxpayer isn't on the hook. So there's lots for the Fed and the Treasury to navigate in this. It's the same story for regulators all around the world when it comes to dealing with the banking issue. But I think right here, right now, the biggest focus for Ms. Yellen and others is trying to drum up confidence, talk up confidence that the regional banking story in the US is under control, that there isn't a systemic threat to the broader banking system and certainly not the bigger banks. And that's obviously the core message that the authorities are trying to get out there at the moment.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Bloomberg Center Current, joining us with the latest on what we heard from Janet Yellen and indeed the broader banking story. Now, banks in focus for European leaders as they gather. They'll continue a high-level meeting today, a second day of those meetings taking place in Brussels. Yesterday, the key focus was on Ukraine. Today, it's all about the economy after a week of turmoil. ECB President Christine Lagarde will join leaders to brief them on the economic and financial situation in Europe. Let's bring in Bloomberg's Maria Tadeo, who's in Brussels. Good morning, Maria. What can we expect then from President Lagarde?
Yes, good morning, Anna. And this is a meeting that I believe should have started, but has actually not, because I can still see motorcades coming in from European leaders gathered here. And of course, the big star of the morning is going to be the head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde. There's a lot of appetite here, and you can really see it from the political side of things to really hear from the central bank the assessment of what happened on a very turbulent week for banks. And again, once again, and you alluded to this at the start of the show, we have seen a frenzy of communications from the head of the European Central Bank. This is the fourth time she speaks in a week, but sentiment keeps flipping. We've seen that European banks are now down this morning. So again, she's going to have to go back to this message of instilling confidence in this market. And I suppose and presume, once again, hammering down this message that they can handle both price stability and financial stability. And that means bringing inflation back to 2% target. But it is obviously a tough environment for the head of the European Central Bank because the sentiment just continues to flip over and over. The question is now what kind of remarks she'll tell European leaders. This will be behind closed doors, but obviously we'll try to bring you anything that we can hear. Will be on the case to chase anything for you.
Meanwhile, Maria, the war in Ukraine rages on. President Zelensky spoke to leaders yesterday via video conference. Walk us through what he said.
Look, President Zelensky did participate in this meeting. Now, he's done it now pretty much essentially for every European summit since the war started. And a source told me that essentially it came down to two messages. One is that he concedes essentially that he cannot put a date to the end of the war, but he is convinced that this joint effort, the stamina from the West to defeat Russia cannot recede. Those were his words. Then secondly, again, repeating this idea of we need the ammunition, no more delays, and also he questioned the rationale as to why Ukraine cannot get access to modern fighter jets. So a lot of the same narrative we heard in a week, which by the way was geopolitically very important. You had the leader of China, Xi Jinping, going to Moscow. A lot of this overshadowed by the vibrations of the market, but nonetheless, the war is still going, and that was a message from Zelensky yesterday. This is still fighting, and just the pace of fighting has intensified to the extent the Europeans have now promised that they will deliver 1 million artillery shells in 12 months. That just gives you an idea of just how intense this is.
A crucial and frankly heartbreaking conversation. Maria Tadeo in Brussels covering every angle of it. We thank you as always. I want to bring the story back to the States here and into the markets. The payments company Block exploring legal action against Hindenburg Research after the short seller claimed that it facilitated fraudsters. Block called Hindenburg's report factually inaccurate and misleading. The stock is down in free market to the tune of 4.2% after suffering its biggest intraday decline in 3 years just yesterday. I want to get to some of the other stocks we're watching as well, because Square and Block, or Block formerly known as Square, is not the only one that's down. First Republic is as well, but take a look at the conviction here, Anna. It's only down 0.2%. These are not the 40-50% swings in either direction that we are so used to over the past couple of weeks. So it really brings to the question of how much of the trade in some of these banks is actually based on fundamentals as opposed to other factors like technicals, for example, or simply vehicles of volatility. It gets a little nerdy, but stick with me. On the other end, you do have some major gainers. The defensive bid into the market. NVIDIA, for example, on track for a 10th straight day of gains. Again, lacking a little bit of conviction in the pre-market, but keep an eye on the stain because it is higher by 0.2%. Every time we see some sort of defensive bid to the market, NVIDIA rallies even more, in addition to, of course, their investment in AI, which continues to be a theme in technology. Coming up on the program, then we'll talk about the broader markets, the sell-off we're seeing into the weekend here in Europe. How much should we need to read into that? We'll talk to Henrietta Packmore, head of global fixed income at Allspring Global Investments. This is to do with banking weaknesses. It's to do with the way that the central banks are tapping Fed facilities. We'll certainly get into that conversation. We'll also discuss TikTok's fight against US lawmakers. It was intense yesterday on Capitol Hill. Lindsay Gorman joins us, senior fellow for emerging technologies at the German Marshall Fund. Where does this leave TikTok? Can it survive as a platform in the United States? We'll get into that conversation shortly. This is Bloomberg.
The closest radar node registered a significant increase in readings from the Bank of Commerce at the time of the summit. And finally, on October 30th, the Panama City Florida, the witnesses reported that a disc-shaped object coming for about 2 minutes moved and then hovered again. It was about 100 feet above the power line and was described as twice the size of a car. After about 10 minutes, the UFO shot straight up, moving silently and finally disappeared. There was a picture that was described as not controlled.
As governments, we have a responsibility to create the incentives in the space for you to flourish, a receptive environment for change, and the accountability that comes with guardianship. In many nations, the foundation for this approach has been laid for us long ago.
Just said the Bassett or some shit.
Where I come from, Aotearoa, New Zealand, is a place you must visit. Our Indigenous people hold the worldview that every single living and non-living thing is connected. Our people, our plants, our animals, descendants of Ranganui, the Sky Father, and Papatuanuku, the Earth Mother, and their children. And so it follows that people and nature are kin, are family. And we must care for one another in the spirit of kaitiakitanga, which translates into guardianship by the people of the land for the next generation.
Lots happening on Wall Street.
I'm quite encouraged. The center is holding.
Need to catch up.
This is Bloomberg Wall Street Week. I'm David West.
We've got the information and insights
A lot of these areas still have very, very good valuations.
from businesses most influential and instrumental.
It's not yet a full. That's not a great time for perspective. It's time for a pivot to coronavirus. Now in hit towards
Bloomberg Wall Street Week live tonight with replays all weekend on Bloomberg Television and Radio. The moment news breaks, no one covers the world like Bloomberg.
Never seen anything like it. This was a decision that maybe was the best out of 3 very bad decisions, but it could prove to be a mistake. She opposed Powell's renomination. She called him a dangerous man in 2021. And now she is really pointing the blame at the Fed, expecting that she'd be here in Brussels today. This is a meeting that happens regularly, but obviously today it will be all about the banks.
Bloomberg, your global business authority.
Well, it's been a fascinating day, and I would say week, month in the markets. It kind of feels like we're going back to a little bit of habitual trading when it comes to how you actually play a market where you don't really know what the Federal Reserve is doing. You don't know how bad the banking crisis is, and you really don't know how effective the moves to kind of tamper down inflation are going to be. And of course, the timeline on all that, plus the scary R word. When you have that kind of uncertainty, it only makes sense to buy those defensive stocks. And surprise, surprise, that is exactly what we are seeing. Take a look at this chart for our radio audience. Stick with me here. We're looking at the quarterly percentage change in the MSCI World Growth Index relative to the value index. So think about your names like your Apples, your Microsofts, anything that has that kind of a long-term value add. Those are the stocks that are outperforming. And might I add, outperforming by the most, going all the way back to 2000. It really speaks to the idea that you are seeing a defensive trade and potentially the start of another bull market rally, at least if you are defensively led, in a defensively led index like the S&P 500. Joining us now for a little bit more context, Bloomberg cross-asset reporter Denitsa Sikova. Denitsa, what do you make of this tech rally? Is it just defensive, or do you think there might be something a little bit more sustainable to it?
Yeah, so what we've seen really is that crazy tech outperformance. Really, what we saw, value was doing very well for a long time, and now tech is back. Of course, a lot of this ties in with what we're seeing of market expectations of the Federal Reserve. We've seen the market has been quite positive. You've seen peak rates in May. It's pricing in a lot of rate cuts going forwards, which of course a lot of people are saying won't happen. Even the Fed has been reluctant to say that. It has said that there will be no rate cuts. So of course this big bet on tech is very reliant on what the Fed does next and what we're going to see from inflation print.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that focus on tech, the Nasdaq now nearly in bull market territory, isn't it, Denitsa? Let me take us broader though and think about the attitude to risks that we're seeing in markets here, because we're seeing something that our colleagues on the Markets Live blog say reminds them of 2008. Not necessarily the scale of any crisis, a lot of different views out there of where the banking sector goes from here, but the way that we're seeing markets position ahead of the weekend, we're certainly seeing a sell-off in risk assets ahead of the weekend here in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting week. We saw the VIX spike initially, now the VIX is down. We saw bond volatility spike initially, now bond volatility is down. S&P has been up for 2 weeks, if today obviously the moves hold. So people would read that things have not been that negative, but we actually saw a reduction of risk exposure. Of course, it's important to remember that investors overall went into this slightly underweight equity, so there hasn't really been a huge move, but investors are definitely reducing risk. Another interesting thing we're seeing is investors are hedging volatility. In investor buying VIX options and calls, but that's not for immediate future, but rather for the next couple of months. So there is definitely some anxiety that there may be a spike in volatility and more downturn from here.
Yeah, and weekends can be dangerous things, as we know. The UBS share price down by 5.2%, European banks down by 3.3%. Denitsa, thank you very much for the analysis. Denitsa Sikova joining us there on the markets. For more market analysis, check out NLIV Go functions to use on your Bloomberg terminal. This is Bloomberg.
Into certain parts of the brain. I think that's very, very close to what we're going to see when this sort of product is mass marketed.
Scott, what are some of the things folks can do once they have these implants in their head?
Well, I'll tell you right now, they still need maybe one or two breakthroughs. But wow, once those breakthroughs, I can't get along, including virtual extent with somebody that you might not know.
It's good for the means they have a Bloomberg. I've seen the Bloomberg. I've been in and seen it. Lots of Bloombergs. Lots of Bloomberg. Lots of Bloomberg. Lots of Bloomberg. Lots of Bloomberg. I've seen the Bloomberg. I've seen.
Can't see it. Well, that's one of
What does it mean? What does it mean?
that would mean.
It means they have a Bloomberg.
Two things that have to happen in order for this mass marketing.
Steve's ability on the course may not be etched into any record books, but following him around, it's clear that it's not for lack of trying. We were constantly hustling behind him as he caught up with executives, companies, and reminisced with former and current players.
He's a patron. Self-made, and so he's on the bus. Common center.
Well, that's the sort of portal I would argue exists in the brain.
In a multi-trillion-dollar undercover.
We indeed have a rally talking.
You would only have to go to two places with the brain probe. You have to watch it so you could see the screen, including
as if I was looking at it.